Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. So, it's undeniable, except to people that are just lying or carrying water for the White House or propagandists. But it's pretty clear the mixed messaging on this Iran war has Americans confused and frustrated, and rightfully so. Now, we're going to get into a lot of the mixed messaging today, and then we're going to look at how the markets are responding, which is honestly insane. It's really insane. The oil markets today, price per barrel in the last 48 hours has gone from a high of $120 to a low of $77. I think it's settled somewhere right in between today. But it seems like it's all confusion. I'm not sure anybody knows what's going on, including Trump himself. The big joke is, if we don't know what we're going to do next, then our enemies certainly don't know what we're going to do next. I suppose there's some truth to that. But it does have Americans confused and frustrated. Now, you could understand from a strategic standpoint saying, well, look, there's going to be things that we have to do. There's going to be things that we have to say in order to advance our agenda, in order to maintain the integrity of our strategy. But it just seems like because of the unpopularity of this war, plus the mixed messaging, and I think you have to add into the equation, most people now, well, I don't know about most, maybe most, close to most people probably don't even trust this administration anymore. Trust in government at an all-time low, trust in media at an all-time low. So that's not really factoring in. So we're gonna look at all the different things that Trump has said yesterday. Caroline Jean-Pierre, it just comes natural. I got to say, it just comes natural now. Caroline Jean-Pierre had another press conference today. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't so bad today. She had her crucifix back on her neck, so I guess she knew she didn't have to go out there and lie. She brought the crucifix back. But we'll show all the different messages we've seen as far as what led to this war, what's going on currently, what are the goals, do we even know? So we got a ton of clips from the administration and from Trump to try to make sense of all of this. And then we've got the stack of geopolitical news as far as how the world is responding to all of this. And there's constant movement all over the map. And I guess the question now is, because the way I see it, and this is all changing day to day, but the attitude today feels like, hey, we're about to cool this thing down. We know it's not popular. Maybe they got some of the results they wanted. Maybe they didn't. Who really knows? But I could see now the administration basically just saying we're done and declaring victory, and then letting all of their propaganda agents and all of the MAGA sheeple go out there and celebrate this as if it was some sort of a victory, even though they don't even know what the finish line is, what the score is. They're just told, go out and celebrate, say it's a good thing, it's patriotic to do so. So that's kind of the general vibe that I'm sensing today. But these things change every day, and so I'm not so sure. That could be they want it to seem like it's cooling down before they do the biggest operation yet. So we're going to try to make sense of all of it for you today. And then we got some other news. I don't know, some weird stuff. What's going on with Pete Hegseth? Maybe you saw this story. There's a weird deal with Pete Hegseth. The Republican advantage in the House just narrowed by 1. I'll tell you why that is, as the special election in Georgia is happening for Marjorie Taylor Greene's vacant seat today. Man, we're just loaded. We're just loaded today. And then the latest funny development in Florida's race for governor. You know, in a way, you could say James Fishback is the new Donald Trump. I'll explain.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, listeners, hear me loud, hear me clear. You need to do something to protect your private information online. This is a necessity. Now, I think you can probably already understand why this is a necessity, but let me tell you why I've partnered with Patriot Protect at patriot-protect.com/Owen. In fact, just before we went live, all of these different websites, all of these different news sites, they have paywalls. Most of them have paywalls now. So I'm trying to read the story from the Washington Post, and they want me to subscribe. And I'm like, well, I don't want to support the Washington Post, but whatever. This is my job. This is the business I'm in. I got to get access to the Washington Post. So, okay. And I'm sitting there and I'm about to fill it out, and they ask for all your private information. And I'm like, do I really trust the Washington Post with my private information? Do I really trust that? It's probably something you think. Now, you have all of these different subscription services. You're buying things online. You're subscribing to different television, video streaming apps. They all get access to your private information. Do you trust them? Do you trust their security systems? And you can't. You got to take it into your own hands. That's why I use Patriot Protect. So I am going to have to get that subscription probably, because it's my job to follow the news no matter the source. And I will feel confident knowing that because of Patriot Protect, my private information online will remain private. And if anybody with any of these different subscriptions I have, these services that they get all your private information, if anybody tries to leak that online, Patriot Protect steps in to make sure nobody can find it. They erase it off the internet. You got to be doing this stuff, especially today with all the different subscriptions, all the different purchases you make online. They get access to your private information. These companies get hacked. It happens all the time. They get hacked. You got to protect this, folks. Trust me, it's a necessity. Patriot-protect.com/Owen. They will make sure all the private information that you give them, normal stuff, names, addresses, family members, just protect your family as well. And they'll make sure all of it is erased off the internet. They'll make sure it's all gone. And then their team works 24/7 in case it pops up again. They're there to eliminate it. This is why you need Patriot Protect. Patriot-protect.com/Owen. Now listen to this. For my listening audience, 15% off all Patriot Protect plans. You heard that right. For my listening audience, you use coupon code Owen, 15% off all Patriot Protect plans. When you go to patriot-protect.com/Owen, you'll see they have different options for you there, a couple different plan options. You can sort through those plans, decide the one you want, and then use coupon code Owen at checkout to get 15% off all Patriot Protect plans. Folks, this is a necessity. Protect your private information online with Patriot Protect.
Turn my system on.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
How's everybody doing today? I'm a little anxious. I don't know why. I'm a little anxious. I feel like it's already been a crazy news week. I look at my clock here. It's friggin' Tuesday. Wow, it's been a crazy news week. It's Tuesday. What? Well, I think you'll understand when we get to all of the content today. You have to give Trump credit where credit is due. The question is it due credit, or is it just this thing is so off the rails now it's just tumbling freely and nobody really knows what's going on. That's really kind of, I think, the big question as we're trying to analyze all of this. And I've got, I don't know, 20 clips today from Trump, different members of the administration. There is no consistency on the messaging here. None. And, okay, I can look at that and say it's strategic, keeps everybody off balance. Yes, me as an American citizen that follows this stuff, I obviously don't like that. I think the American people that are trying to follow this, they're confused, they're frustrated. The war, to begin with, is not even popular, so that doesn't help. So right out of the gates, the whole thing is unpopular, but then you add the confusion, you add the frustration, and it just makes the whole thing worse. So you keep seeing these stories today popping up, and they're saying, well, Trump is looking for an off-ramp. It's one of those things where it's just like, let's wait and see. A lot of that, maybe that's why I'm anxious today. A lot of the news is wait and see type of stuff. And it was actually kind of highlighted, if you caught my segment on Piers Morgan, where Will Chamberlain makes all of these conclusions about the war, and I'm just kind of like furrowing my brow, not quite as powerful as a Ben Shapiro brow, but it's a brow nonetheless. And I'm kind of furrowing my brow. I'm like, I don't know how you can reach these conclusions so soon. And yet, of course, if you've been following my show, you see that the conclusions that we've reached about the geopolitical realignment that's happening right now, most of the conclusions or the directions that we've gone with our conclusions here have been right. Now, we've got more of that today. So is the Trump administration going to look for the exit ramp, knowing this war is unpopular? They didn't get the regime change in Iran. See, I think that this is where the Western media fails you. This is where the Western media fails you the most when it comes to foreign policy and geopolitical developments. Every line of a desire from this administration, which is obviously it's all Israel's demands, it's all Israel's desires. And even if you want to sit back in the Trump defense and say, well, Trump is still making up his mind, or Israel's our greatest ally, whatever excuse you use for Trump getting us involved in the Middle East again, despite the campaign promises, okay. But it's clear every level of where they thought this would go has failed. So first it was, we're gonna destroy the nuclear sites, and that'll be that. Okay, that didn't work. Then it was, we're gonna send in our intelligence agencies. We're gonna run a joint operation with Israel. We're gonna send in these proxies. We're gonna try to overthrow the government from the streets. We'll drum up some protests. We'll overthrow the government from the streets. That failed and may or may not have resulted in thousands of Iranians dying. I don't even think we know the truth about that, but that's what we're telling that's what the media is telling us. Well, that failed. So then it was, okay, let's just kill the entire regime. Let's just kill all of the leadership. Let's just bomb it to hell. Let's bomb it into oblivion. And then again, we'll tell the Iranian people, all right, we're going to kill your government. We're going to kill your leadership. And now you go take back your government. So they killed all the leadership. And then what happened? The Iranians didn't take back their government. In fact, they went out in the streets in support of their government. So then the Trump administration said, all right, let's try a proxy army now. Our proxy groups with the intelligence agencies, that didn't work. Let's go for the proxy armies. Let's reach out to the Kurds. Let's see if they'd be interested in going boots on the ground, trying to run a regime change war for us. They said no. They said no. So now you're basically sitting here. What are your options? I guess now your options are just bomb the entire thing into oblivion, not just targeted political leaders, government leaders, religious leaders, but just bomb the whole thing into oblivion so that anybody can just come in there and take it over. There's virtually nothing left. You can look for an off-ramp and just declare victory. I don't know how you do that at this point. But then again, our media lies to us all the time. Our politicians lie to us all the time, so it wouldn't be too surprising. They could just say, oh, we eliminated the corrupt leadership and we eliminated their nuclear program and their military, so that was the goal. Okay, victory. All right. And then that's their off-ramp. But everybody knows, should they take that off-ramp, they're going to get right back on. They're going to get right back on. It's very clear that whatever it is that's dragging us into this war, whether it's blackmail, whether it's, Israel calling and saying, oh, they're going to bomb us, or Israel calling and saying, oh, they got a nuke, they're going to bomb you, whatever it is, they're going to get right back into this war till they get control of the country. That's what this is all about. They want control of the country, and until they get that, they will never give up. So they may have to take an off-ramp temporarily. I just don't really see what their other options are at this point. So you got all the mixed messages. Trump saying it's over, we won. Hegseth saying the biggest strikes are coming yet. We got all of that for you. But the general background, and this is why it's such a frustrating thing to deal with here. The general background is that Americans are sick of the Middle East. They're sick of being involved in the Middle East. And we would like, for once, we would like an administration to actually improve the quality of our country. We would like an administration to leave the country better off than when they arrived in office. And I don't know. I don't know the last time a president could say that. I really don't. That's all we want. That's all we're asking for. That's all we hoped for. And so that's the frustration. And it's like tuning in. You got the press conference today with Karine Jean-Levitt. And it's Iran, it's terrorists, it's Muslims, and I'm like, what are we doing? Why? Why am I still sitting here as an American citizen listening to the same bull crap coming out of the Middle East again? But of course, it's never been more obvious why. It's never been more obvious why. And the two, if you want to put names on it, the two main factors are Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli lobby. And so here we are. Stuck in another war in the Middle East, wondering what the hell is going on, watching our cost of living go up, watching our education go down. Maybe we're getting healthier. We might be getting healthier. But what else in this country isn't declining? And here we go again. Oh, we're another trap in the Middle East. More dead soldiers. A new number comes out today, at least 150 wounded. Who knows what the real numbers are? But let's start to look at some of these latest developments. Now that price, well, let's look at this. This is the story. This is what I can't stand this stuff. I don't like putting the paywall on the screen, so it's going to be gone. Early Iran strikes cost $5.6 billion in munitions, Pentagon estimates. So that would be on top of the $1 billion a day just to basically fuel and run the whole military operation. So we're really looking at closer to $2 billion a day to this point. The figure, accounting for the war's first 2 days, is likely to intensify concerns in Congress that the U.S. forces are churning through a scarce supply of advanced weaponry. Well, obviously, they're not going to be honest about this. And I guess if there is one element of this whole thing where we can accept, the secrecy, it's not letting people know what is really left of our arsenal or not. So, okay. we won't complain too much, but I do think it's a fair concern, considering everything we've given to Israel the last couple of years, everything we've given to Ukraine in the last couple of years. I think it's a fair concern. Everything that we lost in Afghanistan, the list can go on and on. So who really knows what the arsenal is like right now? Maybe it's no problem. Trump says it's no problem. It might be no problem, but it could be a problem. And then you see this. Netanyahu's cabinet to expand budget by $13 billion to fund war. You know, I find it funny. Every time they talk about Israel expanding its budget, they always talk in terms of U.S. dollars. You know, isn't it weird? That's our currency. Are we going to end up paying for that budget expansion? Why do I feel like the United States of America is going to end up paying for that budget expansion? So we need more money for the war. Israel needs more money for the war. And we're all paying the price. We're all footing the bill. Now, this is the official tracker, but this doesn't take into account the first 2 days. This is just at the $1 billion a day, which the Pentagon is claiming, which is a nice round number. So you're 10 days. You're into day 11 now. You're into day 11 of the war. You're $10.6 billion in the hole, plus another $5 billion for the first days. So really, you're over $15 billion for this war. At least that's what we know of. Now, they also claim to have the human cost here, but I don't think these numbers are accurate. They say 8 U.S. service members killed, 18 wounded. We had a story today of it's 150 wounded now. Of course, there are rumors coming out that those numbers are being significantly kept down. They say almost 2,200 Iranian military. They say 1,500 Iranian civilians plus 12,000 wounded. Yeah, I think all of those numbers are low, including the dollar amount. I think every single one of these numbers is low. Who knows what the real numbers are? But I would imagine that maybe nobody knows. You look at the destruction. How could you know? I would guess that all of these numbers right now are low. I would bet you there's more casualties on both sides, including civilians. And by the way, that's not even counting what's going on in Lebanon. That's not even counting what's going on in Jordan and the Golan Heights and the West Bank and the Gaza Strip and Syria. Because the media tends to put walls around each of these scenarios as if they're not all connected. But the U.S. taxpayer pays for all of these things through the client state of Israel. So it's like, we're covering the Gaza Strip over here. We're covering the Golan Heights over here. We're covering the West Bank over here. We're covering Jordan over here. We're covering Lebanon over here. We're covering Syria over here. And then we're covering Iran over here. As if it's all not connected. As if all of these events are not connected. When they all are connected, they're all being run through Israel. They're all being funded and supported by the United States of America. So what is the real tally here? What is the real tally? Because here's how it should be put. If you wanted to be real extreme with your rhetoric, you'd say this is Israel's war against the world. If you wanted to be more concise, let's say, this is Israel's war in the Middle East. And that's what this is. This is Israel's war against the entire Middle East. This is Israel's war against Muslim-led countries that are not friendly to Israel, are not blackmailed by Israel, maybe a level of both. That's what we're talking about here. Iran is just the latest installment, which they've been waiting for 47 years. Now they're wanting to go into Turkey. Now you hear them talking about Saudi Arabia. Again, who told you that first? Right here. Right here. We told you that was next. Because it's so clear what's happening. This is all Israel versus the Middle East. And the only reason they can pull it off is because of the United States of America. We literally just pay off their neighbors like Egypt and others, or we take arms deals out with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and others to keep them at bay until Israel decides to attack them. So we pay off, we buy off all the other neighboring countries, all the other Muslim countries to keep them at bay, to let Israel do what it wants. And then once they've crossed these other goals, then they go after the other countries that we were once friendly with. And all of the Gulf nation states are reviewing this entire thing right now. And again, this is where the Western media lets you down. This is where the Western media either doesn't get it, just genuinely doesn't get it, they're not paying attention, or they just don't want to tell you the truth. So I sit here, I look at the cost of the Iran war, and we all look at that because it could be the biggest, it could escalate into the biggest confrontation of all of Israel's wars. But no, this is all Israel's war in the Middle East. That's what this is. Israel has attacked 7 separate countries in the last 2 years. Israel's killed hundreds of thousands of people, and now they've got our military doing it for them. So that's how this really needs to be wrapped up. That's how this really needs to be approached. This idea that you can isolate Iran or Lebanon or the Gaza Strip from the larger picture. No, this is Israel's war against the entire Middle East. This is Israel's war against the world. And you can hear what they say. This is a theological thing. This is a God's chosen people thing. This is we were promised this thousands of years ago thing. It's all in the Old Testament. It's nothing new. I guess the only thing that's new is that now they've got their big bad bully, the United States of America, to do their bidding for them, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to get away with all of this. So that's what this is. I'd like to see the running tab for Israel's war against the Middle East. I'd like to see that running tab. I'd like to see that price up on the board for the American people to really consume and understand the price that they're paying. It's not $10.6 billion in the last 11 days. It's probably $500 billion. It's probably $5 trillion since the turn of the 21st century. So that's your real number. Oh, yeah, we can all be upset. We're sick of the spending on war and all the other stuff and the foreign aid. That's totally fair. Most Americans are there now. We look at this little number, $10.6 billion, the war in Iran, all for Israel. Okay. No, let's be honest. Israel's wars in the Middle East have cost the American people $5 trillion. And these are not isolated incidents. Iran, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, Palestine. These are not isolated incidents. This is all Israel's war in the Middle East. And it's never been more obvious. And we are paying for it. We are paying for it in our blood and treasure. And we, the people, are sick of it. Our way of life, our living conditions have done nothing but decline since the $5 trillion plus we've spent in the Middle East on behalf of Israel in the 21st century. Good luck hearing any coverage like that anywhere else. And then the people that are willing to say that, and the people that are willing to call it like it is, you see how they get attacked. You see how they get relentlessly attacked and brutally try to destroy their lives. And then at the end of the day, the only argument they have is, well, Israel's our greatest ally, or, oh, Muslims are bad. Those things don't fly anymore. Those things don't work anymore. That propaganda is old and stale. So it makes you wonder what they're going to do next. But, well, I'm not a big fan of the community notes. Maybe this is at least worth a giggle. Caroline Jean-Pierre Levitt, Operation Epic Fury proves it is both America first and proudly MAGA. Yes, because if it was, you would definitely have to remind us that every day. If Operation Epic Fury was inherently America First and inherently MAGA, then you wouldn't have to tell us that. We would all know it. So the fact that you have to tell us that and publish propaganda on Fox News telling us that is total proof that it is absolutely not that. And then the community note here, which I'm not a fan of the community notes, but the community note, there is not one single thing about this operation that is America First, nor even remotely close to resembling anything MAGA voters wanted when electing President Trump. So a pretty brutal community note there. But you don't need the community notes. You just need the replies. And you can see where the American people are at. And that's, that's the big problem that this administration has now. And you can see the frustration at times. And it really began with the Epsteins when Trump panicked and called it a hoax. They lost so much. They lost so much good faith in the eyes of the American people. They lost so much trust in the eyes of the American people. And this isn't even about politics. This is just about human psychology. You get caught lying to somebody one time, they'll never fully trust you again. Never. You might be able to rebuild and restore some trust, but you'll never get full trust again. And so at this point, we've been lied to by the administration so many times that we don't trust them. We just do not trust anything they say. So Trump could be being honest about something. People don't believe it. Caroline Leavitt, maybe she's being honest. Nobody believes you anymore. Nobody trusts them anymore. They sold out all the good faith and trust when they called the Epstein files a hoax. That was it. There was no going back from that. And maybe they even realize that, and that's why they don't mind lying as much these days, because they're like, well, nobody trusts us anyway, so what the hell? But that was it. Oh, no new wars. We're not going into Iran. No regime change wars. Oh, we're just doing the strike. It's like just lies, lies, lies. So now nobody trusts you. And why would you? And isn't that the problem? You have all of these political cucks on the right now that just believe known liars. And they don't even care. And they're like, why won't you join our team? It's like, what's wrong with you? They're panicked, by the way. They're panicked. Oh, why won't I join your team? Because you're a cuck. Oh, why won't I join your team? Because you believe propaganda. You spew propaganda. You're the reason why we're in this situation right now. You understand that? The American people, there's now just whatever is left of the Trump MAGA support. The American people that just sit here and consume and regurgitate propaganda and sit here and ask everyone else to trust liars with them, that is why our country is in such a bad place right now. It's that attitude, it's that principle, it's those actions. That's why we are here. It's like we probably should have learned not to trust Netanyahu a long time ago, and now we still are. And so here we go. Back into the Middle East. More blood and treasure because we're trusting a known liar. So I don't do that. And that's why you see this MAGA crash out now, because publicly they put on this mask like they really think that they're still in control. Publicly they put on this mask like, oh, they're still popular. Everybody still likes them. But really, it's the meme with the happy face mask, and then underneath it is crying and wailing and weeping and panicking. And this is why, because they have staked everything on Trump. They have staked their entire lives. They have staked their entire reputation. They have staked their entire business model on one man, a politician, Donald Trump. So now, because they're human too, maybe. So now it's like, oh boy, Trump, maybe this isn't what we got. Boy, Trump's losing popularity. Boy, Trump is doing things he said he wouldn't. Boy, these are broken promises. No, I'm all in on Trump. And so they're panicked because if Trump doesn't end up being the president they expect, they know whatever public reputation, whatever business model, whatever it is that they claim to be, it will be no more. And so that's why you see them freaking out over a Candace Owens, over a Tucker Carlson, over a Nick Fuentes, over me, because they see that we're not tethered to any one man. We're not tethered to any single idea or any single institution. We are free. We are truly free. We can speak freely. We can think freely. They can't. And so they're panicked because when people can see that, oh, look, these people can think and speak freely, whether they agree with them or not, they just say these people are thinking and speaking freely. Okay. And then they see these MAGA cult members, and there's no ability to think freely. There's no ability to speak freely. And they think, oh, okay. That's what they are. Mind slaves, mind cucks, political cucks. I digress. Let's get into this news. It's been a crazy day in the markets. There's no doubt about that. Oil prices sink, stocks jump in dramatic reversal. President Trump's comment calling the war in Iran very complete pretty much sent markets sharply higher after a week of brutal losses. Well, I don't think it had anything to do with what Trump said. Well, he did say it, but I think it's something else. I don't think it's about him saying it's a done war. But no, the oil prices went up, went down. They were up as high as 120. They were as low as 77. I think they settled somewhere in the 90s last I checked before we went live here. Stock market is kind of in holding position. It's kind of back to riding the waves, though they're much smaller. So it was up again today. Who knows? Probably down tomorrow. This seems to be the tendency. But the American people are just sitting here saying, when do we get to prioritize our own interests? When can we completely decouple from the Middle East and whatever goes on in the Middle East that causes our lives to be more chaotic? This is what really shocked the oil markets. And I tell you, it's so crazy. I'm sorry to get stuck on this loop today, but I do think it's important that people understand this. It's so crazy what an absolute failure the American media is. I guess in this instance, you could say when it comes to geopolitics and foreign policy, it's unreal how completely, I don't even know what to say. It's like they're not even on the right field. It's like the game is going on over here on like field number 7 and they're playing on field number 2. Like you're not even on the right field. Did you ever play select soccer as a kid? That's what it was like. They'd have these giant soccer parks. They'd have like 8 fields. And you'd have to go look at the list and see which field you're on. So like, oh, you're standing over here on field 2. Your game's on field number 8. That's what the American media is like when it comes to foreign policy and geopolitics. Because I'm watching it 24/7 like a hawk. Probably too much even. And I'm watching the mainstream media. They're all talking about the volatility of the oil market. They're all talking about the price per barrel. They're all talking about, oh, it's shocking. It just went down. And none of them. It's like they didn't even see it. It's like there goes 3 fastballs right down the plate. They didn't even swing. It's like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. It's like, what are you looking at? It's 3 fastballs. Not a single news network mentioned this today when they were covering the oil. Trump weighs easing Russia sanctions, other measures to cool oil prices. Trump took the sanctions off Russian oil. That's why the markets came down. Now, maybe they don't want to cover this because it makes the whole Ukraine war look like a farce, which we all knew it was. Or maybe they're really so blind that they're just not paying attention and didn't see it. Now, I do believe I have the clip from Trump. He came out and said, we're getting rid of the Russian oil sanctions, and that's why the price went down almost immediately, and then it went back up. So what is it? Are they covering this up? Are they not seeing it? Are they not really interested? Or does it completely destroy the entire Ukraine war narrative? Because what's going to happen? Russian oil is going to enter the global market, and guess where that money's going to go? Russia, who's in a war with Ukraine that we are funding, and Europe is funding and fighting. Say, well, gee, why would they want to fund their supposed enemy? Because this Iran war is such a disaster, and they don't have control of the oil markets, and if gas stays above $100 a barrel, that looks bad on them. So now they're freeing Russian oil into the market, and nobody wants to talk about it. Aramco sees catastrophic consequences for oil markets if Hormuz Strait remains blocked. So this is another one where it's impossible to get the truth. Some say the Strait of Hormuz is totally blocked. Others say it's operating freely. We get mixed messages even from D.C., from the White House, from the media. So they say, oh, it's still flowing. Strait of Hormuz is open. No, it's blocked. And then Trump warns Iran of response 20 times harder if Strait of Hormuz blocked. This is the peace president saying death, fire, and fury will rain upon them, but I hope and pray that does not happen. Is he threatening to nuke Iran? Because it certainly is starting to feel that way. By the way, it's about 5%. It's about 5% of the world oil market that goes through the Strait of Hormuz every day. So what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And if oil was such a concern, why are you blowing up oil refineries? Remember when they talked about peak oil? This is from the 90s. Talk about peak oil. Oh, we're going to run out of oil. We're going to run out of energy. It was a huge trend in the 90s, probably just more total BS. Now here you are in 2026. We're just blowing up entire oil refineries. We're just blowing up entire oil tankers, because I guess there's so much of it. We don't need to worry about peak oil anymore. Sounds like Trump is threatening to nuke Iran is what it sounds like. This is a peace president. U.S. Energy Secretary deletes post about Navy escorting vessel through Strait of Hormuz. Why? Nobody knows. U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright on Tuesday deleted a post on X in which he had said the U.S. Navy successfully escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz to ensure oil remains flowing to global markets. It's unclear why Wright deleted the post. Commenting on Wright's remarks, a spokesperson for Iran's Revolutionary Guards denied an oil ship had been escorted by U.S. Army through the Strait of Hormuz. Quote, any movement of the U.S. fleet and its allies will be stopped by our missiles and drones. The claim that an oil tanker escorted by the U.S. terrorist army passed through the Strait of Hormuz is a complete lie. So who really knows what's going on? But aside from what's really going on, why would the secretary post that and then delete it? Very odd. Someone's lying. So is it shut down? Is it not shut down? Iran signals Hormuz safe passage to countries expelling U.S. and Israeli diplomats. So now they're trying to get cooperation with the rest of the world. And this is where, honestly, the rest of the world's loyalty to Israel is going to come into question. I have no doubt these countries would much rather be on America's side, but Israel has become so unpopular in the world stage that they might view it now as, well, it's worth turning our back on America because they're allied with Israel, and we can't do that anymore. We can't do that. So I think this is going to be the first test of the true geopolitical alignment. Now, it's all gone, I'd say, mostly directionally, as I said. Oh, the NATO countries will align. Oh, the European countries, the Gulf nation states will all align. And I said, I don't think so. And now it's definitely not happening. They haven't done a total reversal yet, but it doesn't seem that they're so interested in joining U.S.-Israel's war versus Iran. So now Iran is really trying to put the screws to it and really put the pressure on the world, and they're going to say, okay, let's see who you choose. Do you want to be on the side of Israel, bombing 7 countries? Do you want to be on the side of Israel, which is just out of control right now? As far as their expansionism, as far as their bloodlust? Now maybe we'll see what the decision is. Trump says, oh, the war is basically done. And then Hegseth comes out and says the most intense day of U.S. strikes on Iran is coming. Tehran warns it will block oil until attacks end. So, again, mixed messages. The Hormuz Strait is not shut down. It is shut down. Trump says the war is pretty much over. Hegseth says, nope, the worst strikes are coming yet. Who knows if they even know? UAE oil giant ADNOC shuts Ruwais refinery after drone strike. This is one of the biggest refineries in the UAE. Abu Dhabi state oil giant ADNOC has shut its Ruwais refinery in response to a fire at a facility within the complex following a drone strike. So everybody's really on edge here. Another refinery bombed, another refinery shut down. Now, who has the most power in the oil markets? Is it Russia? Is it the U.S.? Is it Iran? Everybody seems to be waiting to see. Shipping from Maersk suspends cargo bookings to and from several Gulf nations amid Hormuz blockade. The statement said that it has suspended all bookings for reefers, dangerous goods, and OOG in-gauge cargo to and from the UAE, Oman, Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, Qatar, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. So it seems like everybody's just kind of hitting pause right now to figure out what the hell's going on. Danish shipping company has suspended all cargo bookings to and from major Gulf countries, even as war escalates in West Asia and the Strait of Hormuz continues to be in limbo. So it looks like everybody kind of surrounding these developments is just kind of hitting pause. Just kind of hitting pause and waiting and seeing what's going to happen next. But they're not willing to commit to any side. And it looks like maybe they're even thinking about how can we protect our own people right now and our own energy. British Airways cancels flights to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and several other Middle East hubs. A lot of these Gulf nation states rely on tourism. And right now, tourism is not hitting. Now, I want to play a video posted by President Trump. And then we'll get into the actual developments. I think my clips segment starts next. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. This is about a 2.5-minute clip that Trump posted. And it's David Sachs talking about how America has been lied to, specifically mentions Netanyahu in a very unfriendly way, how America's been lied to all of these years to get our involvement in the Middle East. Now, again, this was posted by President Trump. So you have to wonder, who's posting this? Is it Trump? Is it someone else? Does Trump even know what he's posting? Why would he post this at such a time when American-Israeli relations are one of the biggest topics going? And Israel is losing such support from the American people, and yet it has the most support from President Trump, even more so than the American people, some would say. So this video, I want you to just listen to the whole thing. Jeffrey Sachs. Here's Jeffrey Sachs in a 2-minute video talking about how the U.S. gets lied to into bad foreign policy, and specifically mentions Netanyahu. So Trump posted this. Now, did Trump post this? Did someone else post this? Does he even know he posted this? Did he post it without even listening to the video because it was bad on Obama? I don't know. But it got posted, and here it is.
The war in Syria. And you may actually hear from grown-up reporters who are lying through their teeth or ignorant beyond imagining that, oh, the war in Syria, yes, Russia intervened in Syria. Well, do you know that that Obama tasked the CIA to overthrow the Syrian government starting 4 years before Russia intervened? What kind of nonsense is that? And how many times did the New York Times report on Operation Timber Sycamore, which was the presidential order to the CIA to overthrow Bashar al-Assad? 3 times in 10 years. This is not democracy. This is a game. And it's a game of narrative. Why did the U.S. invade Iraq in 2003? Well, first of all, it was completely phony pretenses. It wasn't, oh, we were so wrong, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They actually did focus groups in the fall of 2002 to find out what would sell that war to the American people. Abe Schultzky, if you want to know the name of the PR genius. They did focus groups on the war. They wanted the war all the time. They had to figure out how to sell the war to the American people, how to scare the shit out of the American people. It was a phony war. Where did that war come from? You know what? It's quite surprising. That war came from Netanyahu, actually.
Oh.
You know that? It's weird. And the way it is that Netanyahu had from 1995 onward the theory that the only way we're going to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah is by toppling the governments that support them. That's Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch, sorry to tell you.
There's no way Trump posted that video knowing that Netanyahu is described as disturbing and obsessive and a son of a bitch. What was the exact quote?
This week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch. Sorry.
A deep, dark son of a bitch. Netanyahu described as a deep, dark son of a bitch in a video that Trump posts.
To tell you. Because he's gotten us into endless wars, and because of the power of all of this in the U.S. politics, he's gotten his way. But that war was totally phony. So what is this democracy versus dictatorship? Come on. These are not even
So let's be reasonable. I don't think Trump knew what he posted, or he didn't even post it. Or Trump just saw the caption here about Obama and this looking like a negative Obama clip. So he just posted it without even watching the clip, or someone else posted it, or what? Do you really think that Trump knowingly posted a video calling Netanyahu a deep, dark son of a bitch? Do you think Trump believes that? Now, the account that shared this, MJ Truth Ultra, it's kind of the last remaining big accounts that still kind of follows with the Q narrative to a certain degree, or tries to insinuate a post like this is part of the Q operation. That's where I found the clip. And I still to this day, just kind of looking at all the different angles and measuring them, I don't know how you could be a Trump supporter still unless you believe in Q. That's like your last remaining outlet of hope that Q is real and that this is all for some secret shadow plan. And that's what's going on here. Otherwise, you have to admit that it's total betrayal. But these people deny that Q is real, and then they also deny that Trump has betrayed his campaign promises. So they just live in la la land. And I'm just sitting here like, what are the odds What are the odds that the Trump administration is this bad? What are the odds that Trump betrayed his voters this badly versus what are the odds that Q is real? Well, regardless from what those odds are, this is a video posted by Trump on his account. It's either a video he didn't watch or it's somebody else posting this video. What is the answer to this? Because I've never seen or heard Trump discuss Netanyahu in such a negative light. And I wonder if that video is going to remain or if somebody is going to tell him, hey, did you know that video bashes Netanyahu? We took down other videos that then we said somebody else posted. You sure you want to keep that up? We having fun yet? Crazy enough show for you yet? Clips coming up on the other side.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
This is your chance. Take your coffee break, folks. Take your coffee break with blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. And if you think you can't do it, there's not enough time, you're wrong. With the premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com, you can get premium coffee instantly. That's right. If you love coffee, who doesn't want premium coffee instantly? Everybody. This is the best instant coffee on the market. I don't even like to say that because I don't even think there is any other instant coffee on the market. There's like instant coffee drink or flavor, but it's not like drinking a cup of coffee. Everybody can taste the difference. With the premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, you'll taste the difference in that this is the best instant coffee you've ever tasted in your life. Our friends at Blackout Coffee, though, they got a lot of different coffee to offer you. Right now, they've got, are we all in? Oh, they sold out. They sold out of their Amazonas Dawn Medium Roast. They've got 8 bags right now available. Are they all 5-star reviews? Look at that. That's how good the coffee is at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. All of their bags, ground or whole bean, all have 5-star reviews. And if you're into the single-serve pods, very popular these days for coffee drinkers, you can understand why. They've got over 30 flavors in the single-serve pods at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Hey, if you're not curious yet and you haven't tried Blackout Coffee yet, how about 20% off your first order with coupon code Owen? How about that? 20% off your first order with coupon code Owen at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, the official coffee of the Owen Report.
You have found your political compass. The Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Well, you got the Washington Post reporting that it's anti-Semitic to call Operation Epic Fury Operation Epstein Fury. That's anti-Semitic. Oh, okay. And you have Axios reporting. They got it from the White House. Somebody leaked it to them. The White House is telling Republicans to stop talking about mass deportations. Very nice. Very good. Things are going well. Aren't you tired of winning? All right, let's get into all these clips. We got a ton of these clips. You know, what's so crazy here is I think it's Trump's narcissism. I think it's Trump's ego now, where he's so into himself in the spotlight now that he just takes every opportunity to talk, and then he just talks. And I think a good example was yesterday, and that's where some of these clips are going to come from. But a good example was yesterday, where he goes and he does an event, and he speaks at the event for about an hour or so. And then he goes and he does an official press conference, speaks for about 40 minutes. And it's just like, it's like, I don't have a problem with it necessarily. But it's like, he's not even really thinking about what he's saying. It's like, he doesn't even care what he's saying. It's kind of like, does he care what he's posting on Truth Social? Does he care what he's saying in front of the American people? Is he thinking about how he's still the president? Or is it, oh, I'm just Trump, I'm bigger than it all? It's kind of like when he had the MLS champions, the Miami Football Club. They had the MLS champions at the White House, and he starts riffing about foreign policy and war and how many people that they've killed with the football team, the soccer team behind him. It's like, it's not the time to do that. I mean, but again, he can do whatever he wants, but it's just like, it seems like he's just obsessed with this stage. Like, he's just obsessed now. It's like, anytime I get in front of a microphone, I'm just going to talk about all the stuff. And he doesn't even think about what the platform is, the backdrop is, the purpose is, what the consequences might be. So this is the example from yesterday. And I think it's fair to say, well, this could be concerning, as he credits the people that gave him the intelligence. What they still have not clarified, by the way, but he claims these are the people that gave me the intelligence that convinced him that he thought Iran was going to strike first.
The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me. Marco, so involved, that
Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Now, Kushner wasn't even supposed to be a part of this administration. They lied. They said he was going to be sidelined. That was a lie. And Kushner and Witkoff obviously are taking Israel's interest, maybe even at this point more so than the American interest, or maybe Kushner is thinking about his own financial interests. And they're the ones that are giving Trump the intel where he says, I thought they were going to strike first.
I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And
so in other words, they had no intel. In other words, there was no intel. Trump was convinced into striking them first. And now the Pentagon and all the different congressional committees have all came out and said the same thing. There was no intelligence. There was no intelligence Iran was going to strike us. There was none. They made it up. They made it up. And that convinced Trump to do it. And now we're in this mess again in the Middle East. And he just goes out there and says it. What department of government is Jared Kushner in exactly? These are just Trump's friends running foreign policy. These are just Trump's friends and family running foreign policy. And they just make stuff up, and there's no intelligence. There's no official intelligence, and they just make it up, and Trump says, well, I think they're going to attack us. So he just attacks first, and now we're once again attacking in the Middle East. More from Trump's press conference yesterday, talking about commitment to the Iranian people. Again, people kind of miss what he says in real time because it doesn't make any sense. You kind of have to re-listen to it, and it's like, wait, what did he just say?
They did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of
Will
the
I
people?
help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people.
What does that mean? I'd like to help them, but they need to behave. They've been menacing. I'll tell you what that means. In phases 2 and 3 of this operation, which both failed, they either anticipated or hoped or had bad intelligence, probably from Israel, because that's where all the bad intelligence that draws us into the Middle East against their enemies, that's where it all comes from. It all benefits them. It never benefits us. So he says, oh, well, if they behave, but they've been menacing. No, he's talking about the failure of the phase 2 and phase 3 of this operation. Phase 2, send in the CIA, send in the Mossad, try to start a ground revolution, try to astroturf a revolution to overthrow the IRGC, to overthrow Khamenei. Didn't work. There was no interest. The people weren't interested. Maybe there were some people that out there, maybe some of them got killed. That whole situation is very foggy. Nobody knows the truth. But it failed. That operation to use a ground force color revolution with the people on the streets, led by CIA Mossad forces, failed. So then they tried the second round, which was, all right, we'll just kill. We'll just do the killing for them. They're afraid. They don't want to go out there. They don't want to kill the Iranian leadership. They're afraid they're going to die. So we'll go out there. We'll kill the Iranian leadership for them. And then they'll rise up. And then they'll take their country back. And then that didn't happen. In fact, the opposite happened. They all got out into the streets in support of the Iranian government. So that's what he's saying. He's saying, oh, we tried to lead them with forces on the ground to take their country. They didn't do it. So then we just killed all their leadership and thought that then they would take their country. And then they didn't do it. And actually, they ended up supporting the government that we killed. So that's what he's saying. And so he says, oh, they're menacing. They're not behaving. What is this attitude? Where is this attitude now? This is all about foreign interests. This is all about special interests. That's what this is all about. This is all about the special interests in energy, and this is all about the foreign interest in Israel that are using the American people, the American military, and the White House to do their bidding for them. That's what this is all about. Are they going to give up? Of course not. But they might have to sit this next round out. They might have to go take a break. They might have to go back into the corner and decide how they're going to do this because nothing has worked so far. So that's what he's saying. Oh, yeah, we promised them, but we thought that they were going to overthrow their government and they didn't do it. So now they're bad. So now they're bad because America is not going to dictate the terms of Iran's surrender to Israel. And the Iranian people don't want that, so they're bad now. So let's just go ahead and translate that for you. Now, what is this? Again, what is this? Why even say this stuff? Listen to this.
The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? He said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better.
Why is that funny? Why is that funny? That was a ship that was doing military drills, that was doing joint military drills that were sanctioned by the global community and greenlit by the global community. And they just sank it. They just blew it up. How many people died? And he's up there laughing about it. And he's up there saying, oh, it's more fun to sink it. Why didn't we take it? It's more fun to sink it. What are we doing here? It's Trump's narcissism and ego has reached a new level, and there's no doubt that he feels untouchable. And maybe it goes back to the bullet whizzing by. I don't know. Maybe it goes back to the first two campaigns where all of his supporters stuck by his side, and so he feels invincible. Is nobody in his ear telling him that this stuff is going to catch up to him? Is nobody in his ear saying, Mr. President, you might have just lightly admitted to a war crime? Mr. President, you're laughing about dead soldiers in a country that we're claiming to try to help right now. We're trying to get the people on our side, and you're laughing right now that we just killed their family members. Maybe it's not a good look. It's like nobody wants to say this. Oh, yeah, we sunk a ship for fun that was leaving a military exercise. And then they laugh. It's all a game. It's all a game. Yeah, well, let me remind you, 8 Americans are dead. 8 American soldiers are dead. Is it so funny? Is it a game? What is the number of Americans dead where you guys will stop laughing? What is the number of Americans dead or wounded, whether it's that are in the military or not, like we had a shooting here in Austin, Texas, my hometown, 3 Americans shot and killed because of a retaliation attack. Is it still funny? Oh, it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games until it's your son or daughter overseas that dies. It's all fun and games until some retaliation attack kills someone in your family. It's all fun and games. Oh, we're all having a good laugh. This is the soul of America being sucked out of us and into the Middle East. That's what this is. We are, honestly, there's a reason why we're building the Golden Dome, because we are now becoming the Middle East. Now that Israel runs all of our foreign policy, now that Israel controls our government, we're now becoming the Middle East, ticking off everyone in the world. And so now we have to have a Golden Dome. Now we have to have missile protection systems like Israel because we tick off all of our neighbors. Nobody can stand us. And now they're going to want to bomb us. So just like Israel, we now have to have missile defense systems because everybody wants to bomb us because we've offended and hurt and killed so many people around the world. So now this millennia old holy war has sucked America's soul out of us, and it's gone. And we're up here laughing about dead Americans because of this Iran war. We're laughing about sinking a ship that just got done with a military drill, a joint military operation. And we're laughing. Thousands of people are dead. Hundreds of thousands of people are dead in this war. And we're laughing. Oh, we're having a joke of it. It's fun to sink ships. That is not the soul of our country. That is a soul of dishonor. That is a soul of disgust. That is not the American spirit. That is not the American soul. But this is what's been done to us. This is what's been done to our politicians. This is what's been done to our media. This is what's been done to our people. And it's disgusting and it's heartbreaking, especially coming from Trump, the one guy that wasn't supposed to be like that. The one guy that we thought wouldn't do this, and now he's up there making cracks about dead people in this illegitimate war. Taking questions about the Tomahawk missile. This one got brought up today again, but here was Trump yesterday.
You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's...
Did you just hear that? Trump is out here making claims about a Tomahawk missile, and then when he's actually pinned onto the ground on it, he says, I don't know enough about it. I mean, isn't that everything right there? This administration is beyond off the rails. It's tumbling down the mountain. There is no control. They don't even bother to try. The reporter asks him a very serious question about a comment he made about Tomahawk missiles, and then he basically has to admit he doesn't know anything about it. I mean, this is like, that right there, I think, encapsulates this entire administration with this war. They really don't know anything. They are just firing from the hip, bombing from the hip. Oh, Netanyahu says this, let's just do it. Oh, Jared Kushner says this, let's just do it. Hey, we got bombs. Hey, we got military members. It's fun. Blow them all up, kill them all, threaten a nuke. Oh, that Tomahawk missile that killed that girls' school. Yeah, I really don't know anything about it. I just made it up.
Something that I was told is under investigation, but Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us.
No, not numerous other nations. 3 other nations that are our allies, not numerous other nations.
But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
You just suggested that Iran.
Yeah, but will we know what that report indicates? Because it looks like what that report is going to indicate, either one of 2 things, maybe both. It's going to indicate that we had bad intelligence from Israel. Now, again, the details are a little muddy here, but it looks like that is a school where a lot of the Iranian military members send their kids to school because, as the Israeli intelligence told the White House, there was a military installment nearby. Now, apparently, and this is where the intelligence failure supposedly happened, and this is coming from Israeli spokespeople that don't want to be blamed for this. The Israeli spokespeople came out 24 hours later and said, you can't blame us for us. Don't blame us for this. We knew that was a girls' school. We knew that that wasn't a base anymore. So basically, the Israeli spokespeople came out and said, at one point, that was a military installment, but years ago, they had moved that installment and turned that one into a school. So Israel knew that. Now, did they update that intelligence for America? Or did they give America bad intelligence? Did they feed intelligence into an AI system that was outdated? And then AI acted and blew it up? Now, if this had anything to do with AI and there was no human oversight, then that should be the final straw. We should not be using AI at all for these military operations. Certainly not for making a final decision. Certainly not for making the decision of who's going to get killed. Oh, but nobody's really talking about that. How can you not know, by the way? How can you not know this? They do know. They do know. That was our missile. And it was either AI acting on old intelligence from Israel or the administration acting on bad intelligence from Israel. So that's what it looks like. It used to be a military installment. They moved the military installment. They turned that one into a school. Nobody told us, and we blew up a school and killed nearly 200 young girls. And it's like, how can we be so soulless? It's like, after that, we probably should have taken a pause and said, you know what? This is not good. We just had something go horribly wrong. We just killed 175 innocent girls. Maybe we need to step back for a second. Maybe we need to rethink everything here. Maybe we need to reanalyze our intelligence here. We're not getting the support on the ground we were told we were getting. And we just hit a girls' school. I think our intelligence is bad here. Maybe it's time to draw back and reanalyze some things. Now, that's what you would normally do, but this isn't a military operation. This is an Israeli-run foreign policy to destroy Iran until they submit to Israel. That's what this is about. That's the agenda. So anything that happens from here till there, that doesn't change. And you got the special oil interests in there as well. So there's other interest. But that's what this is really about. If this was anything to do about American interests or America's military decisions, after we blew up that girls' school, we would have taken a pause and said, hold up, time to reanalyze everything. This is not the American way. This is not the Western way. This is not how you keep the moral high ground. Instead, they just said, oh, well, we don't know, but the war goes on. It's obscene. It's obscene. And if there was any doubt whose interest this war is for, here's Trump letting you know.
We've ever done. And I think you're going to see some real numbers when this gets, because this was always a dark cloud hanging over not only Israel, which was going to get wiped out. You know, if we didn't do that B-2 attack, Israel would have been wiped out. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks after that. We've ever done.
So there he admits it's for Israel, and then he just spouts the same propaganda that we all know is bullshit. So Steve Witkoff, who is, I don't know if you would say is running this war, but obviously the conversations he has with Trump are influencing this war to a very high degree. So you'd think he'd be able to answer some simple questions here instead of panic like he does during the CNBC interview.
So how do you see this ending, this war?
I don't know, Sarah. I know this, that President Trump is the wrong guy to go up against. That's what I know.
So how do you...
Now, let me explain what happens here. We're going to play it again. Just a short clip. Let me explain what happens here. This is the guy who is basically manipulating and controlling Trump as part of the Middle East envoy that gets Trump to make decisions as far as policy in the Middle East. And then he doesn't even have a basic answer for how the war is going to end. Now, of course, because if he answered that honestly, then again, it confirmed that this is all being done for Israel. If Steve Witkoff came out and said, America will keep fighting in Iran until they submit to Israel, well, that wouldn't be a good look. That would be the truth, but that wouldn't be a good look. That's what this is all about. Israel wants to be able to hold the entire Middle East hostage with nuclear weapons, and they don't want anyone else to have nuclear weapons. They want to be able to nuke strike you, but nobody be able to nuke strike back. That's what this is all about. And then whatever other policies and negotiations and engagements, whatever, that'll all be settled. This is all about Israel getting nukes and no one else in the Middle East having them. This is all about Israel holding nuclear strikes with the rest of the Middle East hostage. So Witkoff can't be outright honest and say Americans will keep fighting and dying until Iran submits to Israel. Well, that's not really a good thing. So instead he flounders. So, okay, fine. So you have no idea. So you are the guy, you are the envoy. You are the ones running the negotiations and bringing information back to Trump, a major factor for this war, and you don't even have a clue. You can't answer the basic question of how this war is going to end. But so what does he do, though? So after he gets caught not being able to answer this extremely important question, like the question, what does he do?
So how do you see this ending, this war?
I don't know, Sarah. I know this, that President Trump is the wrong guy to go up against.
And there it is. And that's how they manipulate Trump. Oh, crap. I've just been embarrassed. Oh, crap. This makes me look bad. Trump is the best. Trump is the smartest man in the world. Trump is a genius. This is how they manipulate Trump. They feed into his ego. This is how they've done it, folks. This is how they've done it. And this isn't a defense of Trump. I guess you could say it's a defense of Trump. This is me just calling it as I see it. This is just my political play-by-play for what's going on. I think the deep state, well, I don't think. The deep state is still in control. Let's just be honest. The deep state is still in control. What they learned in the last 8 years was if we go after Trump, if we try to tear Trump down, if we try to do the accusations and all of this stuff to try to destroy Trump, Well, that just made him stronger. So everything we did to try to destroy Trump just made him stronger. So now they changed their tact and they said, oh, I know. All we have to do is butter him up. All we have to do is fluff him up and tell him how great he is. And he's the smartest guy, the best leader. All you got to do is fluff him up, and then he's eating out of your hand. That's what they've done. That's how they're manipulating Trump. Now, again, you can take it with a grain of salt as far as, is this a defense of Trump? This is just what I see happening. Say whatever you want about Trump. This is what is clearly happening. And it's a repetitive process. Every time we see these backstabbers, every time we see the warmongers, the neocons, that were all never Trump. They all hated Trump. Now, every time they get caught in a rut about bad policy, what do? Well, Trump is just a super genius. Well, Trump is just the smartest man in the world. Well, I wouldn't mess with Trump. Well, Trump is really strong. They have figured it out. We don't destroy Trump. We don't try to tear Trump down. That makes him stronger. We butter him up. We tell him how great he is. We tell him he's the greatest thing in the world, the smartest man in the world. We warn the world how strong he is. Now they've got him. Now they've got him. Took them 8 years to figure that one out, but now they got him. Stop trying to tear Trump down. Butter him up. And now he's eating out of their hand, and he's going on TV laughing about dead people. He's going on TV admitting that he doesn't even know what's going on. Because at the end of the day, he'll go back to these people and say, how was that press conference? Oh, Mr. President, it was so great. But what about that comment about sinking the ship? Maybe not so good. Oh, no, it was brilliant, Mr. President. Funniest thing ever. You're a genius. Yeah, but that Tomahawk missile one, I don't know. Maybe not so good. Oh, folks will love you for that, Trump. Oh, Mr. Trump, they're going to love you for that, Tom. You're just being honest, Mr. Trump. You're a genius. That's how they got him. Mr. Witkoff, do we have any plans for the end of this war? Trump is really smart. Trump is the smartest man in the room. Trump is the greatest human on earth. So it's like, oh, well, let's see. Trump is watching that. Oh, Steve. Oh, no. Don't blow it, Steve. Don't blow it. I don't know. Steve, don't blow it, Steve. Trump is so smart. I wouldn't mess with Trump. He's the strongest man in the room. Great job, Steve. Way to close it. Way to bring it home. Well done, Steve. That's how they're doing it. That's how they're doing it. Now, there was another closed-door session with congressmen, specifically the senators here, where they're actually probably giving them the true story. This is all classified, obviously, but they're probably giving them the true story about their plans here. And every time you see a senator go to the microphone after they discuss this behind closed doors, they come out looking like they've seen a ghost. Here's the most recent with Blumenthal. He kind of always looks like he's seen a ghost, so it's a little harder to read him. But here's what he said.
I emerged from this briefing as dissatisfied and angry, frankly, as I have from any past briefing in my 15 years in the Senate. I am left with more questions than answers, especially about the cost of the war. My questions have been unanswered, and I will demand answers because the American people deserve to know. And I guess I am most concerned about the threat to American lives of potentially deploying our sons and daughters on the ground in Iran. We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here. And there is also, as disturbingly as anything else, the specter of active Russian aid to Iran, putting in danger American lives. Literally, Russia seems to be aiding our enemy.
Now, obviously, it's more complex than that. We're aiding Russia's enemy. He has the Ukraine flag lapel pin on. But go back to the first hour. So Trump, knowing that Russia was giving Iran intelligence that ultimately might have led to American service members being killed, even though Trump knows that Russia's intelligence to Iran could have resulted in that, he still released the Russian oil sanctions because that's how bad this situation was getting. I don't know how else. I mean, folks, it's like, this is a mess. Go figure. Getting involved in the Middle East has turned into a mess. Who could have seen this one coming? I mean, I'm shocked. Usually getting involved in the Middle East entanglements is a nice, smooth deal. Nice and smooth. No, this thing is such a mess that you have Russia giving Iran intelligence that likely led to the death of American servicemen. And Trump is so desperate that he's releasing the Russian oil sanctions despite Russia maybe being responsible for Americans being killed. That's what an absolute mess this has become.
Actively and intensively with intelligence and perhaps with other means. And China also may be assisting Iran. So the American people deserve to know much more than this administration has told them about the cost of the war, the danger to our sons and daughters in uniform, and the potential for further escalation and widening of this war, a war of choice made by this president, not chosen by the American people, with potentially huge consequences to American lives.
Now, obviously, Senator Blumenthal is a dirty crook and a rotten liar. So you can take what he says with a grain of salt, and that's totally fair. But I think we can all reach the same conclusion that he reached at the end of that statement. And I think that what he's reflecting here is consistent with the messaging or lack thereof that the American people have gotten. So essentially, they're getting into these classified hearings with probably the Department of War, other members of the Trump administration, and they're asking the same questions the media is asking, like how many servicemen have died, what is going to be the final cost financially, what could potentially be the final cost as far as lives are concerned, what's the next step, what's the next plan, and essentially they're just getting totally blackballed. They're just not getting any answers. They're not being told anything. And again, you can certainly understand it. You can certainly understand why the White House might not trust anybody in Congress. Fair enough. I don't think any of us do. Okay. So you're not going to give them any information because you don't trust any of them. But the problem is you are into this system of checks and balances, and you're not playing your role. And so if you're going to sit here and say, we don't trust Congress, we're not going to give Congress any information because we don't trust them or they don't deserve it. Well, now you're the ones acting unconstitutionally. And if you think there are people inside of these committees that are, let's say, members of the deep state, well, then aren't we right back to the beginning? Aren't we right back to why hasn't the deep state been arrested? Why haven't the treasonous members of Congress been arrested? Isn't that the entire source of our frustration? That none of the criminals in D.C. have been dealt with? Wasn't that supposed to be the point of MAGA? And instead, here we are launching another war. No deep state arrests. So the administration walking around on eggshells, knowing the deep state is alive and well, and they won't do anything about it. And now they're leaving all of us in the dark. Rand Paul is in these hearings. Here's what he had to say afterwards.
I don't want to weaken our country further. I think we've gotten overextended. This is our second war in a month. And these wars are very, very expensive, not only in the lives that are lost, but also in treasure. And so, no, I'm very, very concerned about the debt. It's been my number one focus for some time now.
I know it has.
And $500 billion to the military budget is fiscally irresponsible. I don't want to.
So it sounds like there's some concerns as far as how long we can prolong this war, or if we even have the military assets to prolong this war. You know, Rand Paul, the funny thing is, even though Rand Paul is right, it's like you can never get to the conclusion, because what will end up happening is they'll just admit that our money is fake. Right? So it's like Rand Paul is obviously right. Fiscal conservatives are almost non-existent in the Republican Party. There might be 10 of them in Congress, maybe. So it's like, oh, yeah, where do we keep getting all this money for war? We can't even rebuild infrastructure. We have a record debt right now. Yeah, because money is fake. They literally just print fake money. It's all fake money. So, like, that's the bottom line. And I don't know if Rand Paul wants to say that. But that's where this logic ends. Now, you heard rumors. There's reports of Israel using white phosphorus. Now, apparently they've used it in Palestine. Now, apparently they're using it in Lebanon. A BBC correspondent on the ground tried to report this, and watch what happened.
It's been white phosphor again used. We filmed.
Very operating and very dangerous.
Starts reporting on white phosphorus, and all of a sudden the feed goes out. Well, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Now, what did I tell you guys? I told you that these Gulf nation states are not so convinced they're being struck by Iran. They're not so convinced. And now Iran, and again, I'm not telling you to trust anything that's coming out of Iran. I don't trust any of them. But Iran is now claiming that Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Cyprus were all false flag attacks, and that these are the conversations they're having with all of the Gulf nation states and other Middle Eastern nations that got hit with supposed weapons from Iran, and they're on the phone saying those were not our weapons. And you even have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Iran coming out and outright claiming that Israel fired those weapons. So these are the conversations happening behind closed doors in the Middle East. I'm not telling you who to trust. I'm not telling you who to believe. I'm just telling you those are the conversations that are happening in the Middle East right now. As everybody's kind of deciding where they're going to fall on this issue. Are they going to team up with America and Israel? Or are they going to finally stop Israel's bloodlust and death-killing spree in the Middle East? That's the question. So you got all the different sides lobbying. And who knows who's really following who's really launching these missiles. But Iran is telling these countries it's not us. That's what they're telling them. And then you had Erdogan come out and congratulate the Kurds for refusing to go to war in Iran. And he's saying the same thing. He's saying it's time for people in the Middle East to stop killing each other. That's what Israel wants. Good for the Kurds for rejecting to do Israel's bidding and go into Iran. This is exactly what they want. They want Arabs and Muslims killing each other in the Middle East while Israel continues to get more control. So that's what's coming out of Turkey. These things are not aligning. These things are not aligning as we were told they were supposed to. These things are not aligning as the Western media was projecting. I don't think the alignments are finished. I'm not sure where they're all going to land, but it's not going the way that the Western media told you it was going to smoothly fall into place on. So as all of this is going on, this is, I think, a good way to put it. From Sean Davis, I got this short clip of Ted Cruz. They're all panicking about Tucker Carlson. Of course. Because he doesn't carry water for the administration. So they can't control Tucker Carlson, so they hate him. Now here's Ted Cruz, who said he got into Congress to serve Israel. His quote. Sean Davis says, "This is just embarrassing. A foreign communist runs New York City. A gay race communist is currently destroying California on his way to the White House. Detroit, Chicago, and Philadelphia are all war zones. But an anti-war podcast host is the most dangerous man in America," according to Ted Cruz.
But in a college classroom, I'm a lot less certain. And it is being spread by loud voices, the most consequential of whom is Tucker Carlson. I believe Tucker Carlson is the single most dangerous demagogue in this country. But in a college classroom, I'm a lot less certain.
I mean, do I really have to explain to you why? Do I really have to explain to you why Ted Cruz is going after Tucker Carlson? Do we really need it explained today? Isn't it obvious? Tucker Carlson is destroying the lies coming out of the Middle East. Tucker Carlson is destroying the trust that the American people, the good faith that the American people had in our so-called greatest ally of Israel. Tucker Carlson is destroying that simply by talking about it in a way that's not controlled. So Tucker Carlson is a threat to Israel sucking America dry. Tucker Carlson is a threat to Israel spilling our blood and treasure in the Middle East for their interests and their desires. That's what Tucker Carlson is a threat to, and that's why Ted Cruz hates Tucker Carlson so much, because he works for them. So Lindsey Graham was on one yesterday. This is your MAGA now, by the way. Lindsey Graham is MAGA now. Lindsey Graham was on one yesterday. And the only reason I can say, like, why was Lindsey Graham so insane yesterday? Because they're losing so badly. They're losing the narrative. They're losing the youth. Their lies are being exposed. Nobody trusts these people. Nobody likes the foreign policy in the Middle East. Israel has its lowest approval rating in the West than it's ever had since its existence. So Lindsey Graham is in absolute panic. I've never seen a congressman, I've never seen a senator act like Lindsey Graham. Wild stuff from Lindsey Graham yesterday. Let's begin. Listen to this.
What you're doing behind the scenes, that has to stop. The double dealing of the Arab world when it comes to this stuff needs to end. I go back to South Carolina. I'm asking them to send their sons and daughters over to the Mideast. What I want you to do in the Mideast, to our friends in Saudi Arabia and other places, step forward and say, this is my fight too. I join America. I'm publicly involved in bringing this regime down. If you don't, you're making a great mistake, and you're going to cut off the ability to have a better relationship with the United States. I say this as a friend.
Lindsey Graham says, I'm going to be asking Americans to send their sons and daughters to fight in the Middle East. That's the obvious thing. That's the obvious thing that he said there that everybody's picking up on and obviously reporting on. But did you catch the other thing he said? Did you catch the real big story? He just let the cat out of the bag, folks. The Gulf nation states are not on our side. They're not. Did you catch that? That's the big story. They all got it wrong. They all got it wrong. It's true. We had it. We told you. No one else said it. And we said it. We said, they're all assuming Europe, NATO, Gulf nation states, they're all assuming they're going to end up on our side. They're all assuming they're going to cooperate with us. Don't be so sure. Lindsey Graham just let the cat out of the bag. They're not cooperating with us. They're not taking our side. They want nothing to do with this. And now Lindsey Graham is threatening them because they won't ally with us and do regime change in Iran. That's the big story. It's shock. Okay, Lindsey Graham says he wants more Americans to die in the Middle East. Okay, yeah, we expect that from Lindsey Graham. No, he just admitted it. The Gulf nation states are not siding with us on this regime change war. And so he's threatening them now. That's just the start with Lindsey yesterday. Here's more confirmation. They're not cooperating.
Allies to our friends in Saudi Arabia. I am willing to do a treaty to go to war for you, but you got to step up and let America know you're a reliable ally. If you cannot join this fight, Iran has attacked your country viciously. What fight are you going to join? This is a time of choosing. We need to put a coalition together that stands against evil, that insists on a better Mideast. Let's don't go backward. Let's go forward. And just finish on this thought to the American people, allies, to
I want you to listen to what he says here one more time.
our friends in Saudi Arabia. I am willing to do a treaty to go to war for you.
Lindsey, you don't go to war for anybody. Fuck you. You send Americans to die for these wars. You absolute scum-sucking. I would call you a slur right now, but it's not even worth it. You are a scum-sucking snake. You are the lowest form of American politician that we have. A complete and total traitor, a liar, a scumbag. There are not enough words in the dictionary. There are not enough words in the English lexicon to explain what an absolute scumbag, traitor, piece of garbage that Lindsey Graham is. You are the worst. You represent the worst of the American people. And to sit up there and say that you're willing to send men and women, American men and women, to die for foreign interests in the Middle East, you are the worst of us, Lindsey Graham. You are the worst of us. It is a shame and an embarrassment that you represent South Carolina and that you represent America to the world. You don't represent anybody but your own interests. And I wonder what those interests are. Are you just somebody that makes money in the stock market with insider trading when these wars break out? Otherwise, I've got to wonder who's got Lindsey Graham on tape and doing what. There's no way that somebody like Lindsey Graham is organically such a piece of trash. There is no way. Lindsey Graham is either doing insider trading and makes millions of dollars off of these wars, or somebody's got him on video doing the worst thing that you could ever imagine. Nobody becomes this big of an absolute faggot traitor organically. How bad could it be? What do they have Lindsey on tape doing? Watch this one. This is how he closed out his Hannity interview. I mean, this is just weird.
God bless Israel. Right. We should move all our stuff to Israel. Thank you.
What? What is this?
God bless Israel. Right. We should move all our stuff to Israel. Thank you. God bless Israel. Right. We should move all our stuff to Israel. Thank you. God bless Israel. Right. We should move all our stuff to Israel. Thank you.
South Carolina, if you don't get this guy out of office, what are you doing? What are you doing if you don't get this guy out of office? Oh, there's more. There's more.
To all the anti-Semites, to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. To all the anti-Semites, to all the isolationists, I don't believe.
Now, who are the anti-Semites? He says Seminites. Who are the anti-Seminites? Who are the isolationists? America First Patriots. Or forget about putting any labels on it. It's simply people that have a different opinion on foreign policy. It's simply people that have a different view on foreign policy than Lindsey Graham. That's all. This is woke right. This is the exact stuff the woke left does. When they can't win a debate on merit, when they can't win you over with ideas or arguments, they just call you names. So the right wing cannot win over America on these foreign wars. The right wing cannot win over America on more involvement in the Middle East. The right wing cannot win over America as far as supporting Israel. So if you don't agree with them, they just call you an anti-Semite. If you don't agree with them, they just call you a Jew hater. They just call you an isolationist. That's all it is. It's woke. It's woke name calling when you can't win a debate. That's all it is. But he says he stands with Israel forever. He'll stand with Israel instead of the American people forever. He said it, his words. I mean, how is this not a total traitor? How is he not being investigated for treason? How has Lindsey Graham been able to avoid an investigation into treason with statements like that? But they're lashing out because they're losing. That's all it is. They're lashing out because they're losing. New Quinnipiac poll shows 44% of voters, a record high, think the U.S. is too supportive of Israel. It is the highest percentage since Quinnipiac first started asking this question in 2017. So all polls indicate it. All conversations indicate it. All trends indicate it. This country is sick of Israel. And it's only going one direction. I'm not trying to be morbid or rude, but we all know it. The only people that really support Israel, at least in the larger numbers, obviously we're not making blanket statements, but the vast majority of Israel's support comes from people that are over 50. And that's it. Maybe even older than that. Again, that's not a blanket statement. I know there's plenty of people in that age group that don't. So there's plenty of people listening to this. So it's not a blanket statement. But we all know that that's the truth. The support for Israel vastly comes from boomers. That's it. And that's why you have Netanyahu freaking out and Lindsey Graham freaking out and the Trump administration pushing the pedal to the metal because they know their window of using and abusing American blood and treasure for foreign interests is coming to an end. They know it. That's why they might nuke them, folks. I'm dead serious. And if this is a blackmail deal with the Epstein files and Trump, whatever it is, I'm serious. I don't think any of us would be surprised if they nuked him. And it's something I don't want to see in my life, I'll tell you that. It's something that we should never even do again. It's the year 2026, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need to fight for energy. We don't need to fight for resources. We don't need to fight for land. We have the technology that makes all of it readily available. This is essentially a holy war. This is essentially a religious war, is what this is. And it's Israel that has been using and abusing America to do its bidding in this holy war that is not ours. And now that they see that they've lost their grip on the American people, they don't have the support, they're going to go for everything. I think they're going to go for everything. I wouldn't be surprised. It could all depend on what happens in Iran. If they're successful in Iran, they'll go into Egypt. They'll go into Saudi Arabia. They'll go into Turkey. They'll just do it all. Because they know they can't do any of it without U.S. blood and treasure. Israel would not be getting away with any of this. Israel, who knows what the state of Israel would be like if it wasn't for all the United States blood and treasure that they've stolen and plundered and spilled in the Middle East. But they know their window of time is coming to a close, and that's why it's so dangerous. That's why this whole situation is so dangerous. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. I think we take a quick break. I still got some other geopolitical stuff. We didn't close it this hour. I still got some other geopolitical stuff, some quotes from Trump. But let's take the second hour break, and let's get into that on the other side.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, we're into the third and final hour for today. We do have a lot of news still. And we will, of course, get to your super chats before we sign off today as well. Let's get back to the remaining geopolitics for the day. But before we do that, do you believe this statement from Trump? Does he even believe this statement from Trump yesterday?
It's just great spirit. The Republican Party has fantastic spirit. The level, I don't think, has been seen before. I really don't. We have to get a couple of people on board, which, at least one case is virtually impossible. I wonder who that might be. A sick person, but it's just great.
Now, I don't know who it could be. Who's a sick person that he's talking about in Florida? I don't know. This was in Doral. So I have no idea who that could be. Anybody. Republican spirit is at an all-time high. Republican spirit is good. No, people are sick of party politics. Republican Party spirit is down. More Democrats just voted in Texas than Republicans. People are leaving the Republican Party. In fact, you just had a member of Congress leave the Republican Party. Representative Kevin Kiley leaves GOP to become an independent, complicating Mike Johnson's majority. Oh, yeah, there's your spirit. You just lost one. You got Republicans dropping out. You got big name Republicans like James Woods saying, I'm out. I'm leaving the party. You got a MAGA split. Where is this spirit? Who's telling him this crap? Is it just pure propaganda, or does he actually believe that? Is somebody actually telling him that? So we go back to the geopolitics. We go back to the Middle East. This is a panel. You're going to hear from Senator Mashahid Hassan Saeed, and you've got also somebody from Doha, Qatar, who's agreeing with everything he says here. Look, you don't have to agree with all of this. Maybe you disagree. This is the big boy talk. These are what serious people are talking about. People that really follow geopolitics, really look at all the different angles, all the different perspectives, all of the different media outlets. This is the big boy talk. This isn't left-right paradigm slop. This isn't American political propaganda slop. This is the big boy table. These are what serious people are talking about. And, it's like some people reach a conclusion where they just say, hey, you know what? The average American person, they can't handle this. They don't deserve to know it. So leave them in the dark. You have the approach of, the American person doesn't understand any of this anyway. So what's the point of telling them the truth? But then you have the people that intentionally keep you deceived, intentionally keep you uninformed and misinformed so that all the real decisions that are being made, they don't even have a clue. And then they can manipulate what really goes on, keeping you in the dark so that you have no say. And that's what neocons are doing right now. That's what the new MAGA is doing right now. Now, most of the new MAGA, they're just sheep. They're just the people that are at the little kids table that think they're at the big kids table. This is the big conversation that people are having. This is what people that actually understand how the world works, this is what they're talking like.
And I will take it forward also that basically Netanyahu, this gangster in the Middle East, he trapped Trump and blackmailed Trump with the Epstein files and forced him into this war. dragged them into this war, which is a war of Netanyahu, which is not America's war. And Trump has betrayed his mandate to the American people and to the mega base, because now it's no longer America first, it's Israel first. And he said no more wars. He's now jumped into this wars when there is no threat at all. And I think it's very clear that the American people are not behind him in this war, which is an unwinnable war, which is going to have worse consequences than even the Iraq misadventure of 2003. And I think I would fully agree that the APAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, the Jewish lobby in the United States, that's, as it was once said, that the Israeli occupied territory is not Gaza and West Bank alone. It's also the United States Congress and the Washington establishment. Sadly, that is turning out to be true.
So you don't have to agree with all of that, but that's the real geopolitical conversation happening right now. That's the adults having adult political conversations, not the little kids at the little tykes table pretending like Trump is the be all end all and knows and controls everything. And I think what needs to be understood there, whether you agree with the details or directions of the statements, I think what needs to be understood is that, this isn't just Trump betraying his voter base. This isn't just President Trump saying one thing on the campaign and then doing something different in office and the American people getting screwed again. No, this is Trump essentially betraying, you might say, the entire world. All the different world leaders that Trump made these deals with, all the different world leaders that Trump said he would be different and he would handle things differently and he would bring peace and he would do business and do negotiations. All the world leaders that Trump made the same promises to that he made to us, he has also betrayed. And this is where I think when we have these geopolitical conversations, this is where the Western media is completely keeping you in the dark. This is where the Western media that just assumed that all of these puzzle pieces would fall into place with the U.S.-Israel war in Iran, and they're not. It is not happening. Because just like Trump lied to us, he lied to them. So now you can get into the debate and say, was it always a lie, or is he getting blackmailed now, or is something else happening now? Is he being deceived? There's where you can have the debate. But it's not a debate to say that Trump ran on no regime change wars in the Middle East and then he did it. So, hey, the American people, we got screwed again. The American people, we got lied to again. Okay, that's one thing. We're used to it. What say do we have? Well, maybe we change our vote. Maybe we change our media consumption or approach. But what about all those world leaders that Trump said one thing and now is doing another thing? What about all of them? How does that impact us? How does that impact the geopolitical picture where maybe the world thought they could finally trust one of our leaders? Maybe the world finally thought that they could trust Trump, and now he betrays them. How does that look? Not good. But I think everybody is kind of looking at this now. I think the Gulf nation states, other Middle Eastern states, Europe, I think they're all kind of looking around like, all right, we know what this is. I don't think we want to get involved, but they're kind of waiting. It's like, all right, what are these countries going to do? What are those countries going to do? And none of them, you're not seeing any of them leap into getting involved with the U.S. and Israel in this war with Iran. None of them are leaping to get involved. None of them. So that might have been a mismeasurement from Trump. It was certainly a mismeasurement from the media, but maybe Trump mismeasured it. Maybe he doesn't even measure it because he can't. It doesn't matter. He has to do it anyway. Maybe he hoped, but it's just not happening. So what are they going to do next? By the way, that was a Pakistani senator that you heard from. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan reaffirm mutual defense pact after Iranian missile and drone strikes. I don't think they think it was Iran, by the way. According to the media of the wing of the Pakistan army, both leaders discussed the seriousness of the security situation arising from Iranian drone and missile attacks on Saudi Arabia. If they really thought it was Iran, don't you think they would be going to war with Iran? So I'm not sure they really think that. But regardless, this is what I'm talking about. This is the other countries that are kind of, feeling the gravity of this, feeling the wind of this, sucking them in, and they're picking up the phone. They're not calling Trump. They're not calling Netanyahu. They're calling their neighbors to the east, their neighbors to the west, their neighbors to the south, their neighbors to the north, and they're saying, hey, what are you seeing? What do you think? Are you getting involved? And they're all saying, no. No, I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm not sure what I'm seeing, but I'm not getting involved. Well, what about if we get attacked? So now they're forming their own alliances. So recently, friend of the show and the founder of the 1776 Law Center, the official legal group of the Owen Report, Bob Barnes, was on with the TPUSA show, and people started panicking because Bob Barnes is not controlled. He's not controlled. So you have, this is hilarious. This is about as woke as it gets. Andrea Schaefer, anti-Marxist warrior. That's like when the left is like, Andrea Schaefer, Black Lives Matter activist. And Andrea Schaefer, I stand with Ukraine. Andrea Schaefer, anti-Marxist warrior. Why is TPUSA amplifying Robert Barnes? Keep it up and you'll lose more donors. Oh. You don't like people having conversations? You don't like people that have different opinions, different views than you? Boy, that sounds woke. As Aaron McIntyre put it, amplifying, platforming. Amazing how quickly the language of the woke left and its cancellation efforts are adopted by those who sold themselves as anti-woke the moment Israel is involved. And there it is. And once you understand, stopping anti-Semitism, I stand with Israel, whatever it is, that's just Black Lives Matter for the right. That's just woke right speak. That's all it is. So they're trying to turn woke into some political ideology. No, woke is forced virtue signaling. Woke is forced social justice warrioring. Woke is when you can't win a debate, you start name calling your opposition. And now that happens more on the right than the left. The right, the pro-Israel neocon right is more woke than the left now. Okay. This is just, I don't even know. Mike Huckabee has turned into such a cuck. You can't even, it's really unbelievable. So you're a slave. You're a slave to Jews. Don't ask me. Ask Mike Huckabee.
I get asked all the time because I'm a Christian, and they say, well, why are you so supportive of the Jewish people? I said, you can be Jewish. You don't have to have anything to do with Christians, but you can't be a Christian and not understand that your entire faith is built on the foundation of Judaism. So for Christians, we look at this as an obligation, a moral debt that we must repay. And therefore, I don't understand anyone who says, I'm a Christian, but I don't really want to support the Jews. Well, how can you do that? But it is not the view of those of us who are what I would call biblical believers that accept that what the scripture says about the Jewish people. In Genesis 12, those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. It gets pretty simple. When I say there's a miracle every day in this country. I get asked all the time.
Now, I want to now give this a little framework. And when you hear it a second time, listen to what he's actually saying. Basically, what Mike Huckabee is saying is that he's not even a real Christian. He doesn't even believe in Christianity as a faith. And he's not even crediting anything here to God. So what Mike Huckabee is saying is that Jews are God, and that therefore you owe a moral debt, or you're an indentured servant, or you're a slave to Jews. Well, that would make sense with all the foreign policy. That would make sense with Israel basically getting our blood and treasure for their interest in the Middle East and everything else. So it actually makes sense when you look at it through that lens that, yes, these people believe you need to be a slave to Israel. But notice, he doesn't say that it's God. He says it's Jews. What? And if you're really a Christian, the entire point, you want to be an ambassador to Christianity, isn't the entire point saving souls by bringing their life to Jesus Christ? So if somebody doesn't believe that Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior in your Christian faith, are they getting into heaven? In your Christian faith, you're saying that a Jewish person that doesn't believe in Jesus Christ is above you and that you need to serve them, but yet you won't try to bring them to Christ? You won't try to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ? Instead, you turn around and tell Christians that Jews are God and that you need to be a slave to Jews? That's what he just says.
I get asked all the time because I'm a Christian, and they say, well, why are you so supportive of the Jewish people? I said, you can be Jewish. You don't have to have anything to do with Christians, but you can't be a Christian and not understand that your entire faith is built on the foundation of Judaism.
So it's not from God. It's from Jews.
Christians, we look at this as an obligation, a moral debt.
You're in debt to Jews. Not Jesus Christ, not God. Wow. Wow. He said it. Ben-Gvir expands gun permits for Jerusalem residents amid Iran war, but only for Jews. Isn't that it? Isn't that nice? Until now, only residents in neighborhoods adjacent to the West Bank were eligible for weapons. Now, another 300,000 residents in the city will enter the eligibility circle, including tens of thousands who did not complete military service. It's only for Jews. Again, there is no bigger ethno-nationalist state. There is no group that believes they're superior to anybody else except these radical right-wing Zionist Jews. And it's not fair. It's not fair for Jews that don't believe this. It's not fair for the average Jew that has nothing to do with this. They use the average Jew that has nothing to do with this as their political body shield. And then they call it anti-Semitism. So it's all very intellectual design to make sure that they're untouchable politically. But isn't that something? Only Jews can carry a gun. How do you like that? And by the way, only Jews in Israel can go into their bunkers. Here's a video. This is basically like a parking garage structure. If you're not an Israeli Jew, they'll probably let you in if you're a Jew, but if you're not an Israeli Jew, they do not let you in the bomb shelters. And you kind of have to huddle around in these tunnels in parking structures. So if you're not a Jew in Israel, you don't get a gun. If you're not a Jew in Israel, you don't get to go to the bomb shelters. Now tell me, how does that work with the Western mindset? How does that work with the Western ideology where every man is created equal? Of course, it's the total antithesis of that. That one group of people is better than the rest, that one group of people is chosen and has more privileges and access and rights than the rest. It's the total opposite of the Western ideology. But somehow that's our greatest ally. Now, what is this? Pete Hegseth blew billions on fruit basket stands, chairs, and crab? Billions? How is that even possible? The Pentagon spent more money in September, the end of the 2025 fiscal year, September to the end of the 2025 fiscal year, than it had in any other year since 2008. But a good chunk of the budget wasn't used for anything that could be considered a pertinent military expense. The Defense Department burned through $93 billion that month alone, signing checks left and right in order to dry up its congressionally allocated budget, according to a recent analysis by government watchdog Open the Books. That's all public sourced. And we know that this is what they do, by the way, just so you get a little context here. These different agencies have a budget. And at the end of the month, if they have cash remaining in their budget, they spend it on anything and everything, because what's going to happen is they're eventually going to lobby for more money. But if they go lobby for more money and there's leftover money from the last fiscal year or whatever it is, then they'll get rejected for a bigger budget. So they just go out and spend as much money as they possibly can to hit the budget, so that when they go ask for more money, they can say, see, we used all of our money last year. This is how corrupt our government is. And it's the Trump administration doing it now. This is why they stopped Doge, because they're all thieves. There is pressure to spend. If federal agencies don't use the entirety of their budgets by the end of the fiscal year, then they lose access to that cash forever, potentially putting themselves in a situation where they have to request a reduced budget, not an extended budget. But the Pentagon's long list of luxuries is hardly defensible. Some of the frivolous September purchases made under Secretary Pete Hegseth's stewardship include $98,000 Steinway & Sons grand piano for the Air Force Chief of Staff's home. $5.3 million for Apple devices such as the new iPad, and an astronomical amount of shellfish, including $2 million for Alaskan king crab. Who is eating all this crab? And $6.9 million worth of lobster tail. So we've got $9 million in seafood here. Lobster tail is apparently a favorite of Hegseth's Pentagon. The department spent more than $7.4 billion total on the luxury item March, May, June, and October. We're spending tens of millions of dollars on seafood. How is this even possible? In other pricey food purchases, the government decided to drop $15 million for ribeye steak just in September. $124,000 for ice cream machines, and $139,000 on 272 orders of donuts. That's like the least offensive of this. That's like the one I could say, fine, spend $100,000 on donuts for people to eat when you're having morning meetings or whatever. Tens of millions on seafood, $15 million on ribeye. Weeks later, millions of Americans would lose their SNAP benefits amid the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. More still stand to lose eligibility to the food assistance program thanks to Republican crusade that added stricter work requirements to the program, piling on paperwork and documentation mandates. Okay, good. But the hypocrisy is obviously the story here. One of the largest bulk expenditures was just for furniture, which the Pentagon decided to shell out $225 million for furniture. Has Jeff Bezos even spent that much on furniture? That included $12,000 for fruit basket stands and checks totaling more than $60,000 for Herman Miller recliners. All in all, the agency spent more on furniture in 2025 than it had in over a decade. In the last 5 days of September, the department blew through $50 billion on just grants and contracts. For context, only 9 other countries spend that much in the entirety of their defense budget per year. It's also more than the total military budgets of Canada and Mexico combined. This is nuts. Under Secretary Hegseth, the Pentagon has consistently said its mission is to refocus on warfighting and lethality. Open the Book CEO John Hart said, last year, we highlighted the problem of wasteful use it or lose it year-end spending. We noted that this reform is fully within the secretary's control and is a historic opportunity for him to make good on that promise. Instead, he's stuffing his face full of lobster and king crab and buying grand pianos and furniture and ice cream machines. I mean, this is outrageous. This is exactly what we had Doge for, and now we know why they canceled it. Because they all wanted to spend their money. They all wanted their turn to do the waste, fraud, and abuse. They all wanted to get in there and spend billions of dollars on their own interests, so they didn't, so they canceled Doge. So they kicked Musk out and they canceled Doge. Don't let this story go away. Big development. Alexander brothers, once real estate stars, convicted of sex trafficking. Woman testified that the brothers raped them at exclusive parties on trips to the Hamptons and New York City. They were in the Epstein files, I believe, as well. They were in the Epstein files, very well connected to the elites of this country. Alexander brothers found guilty on all counts in sex trafficking trial. The verdict comes more than a month after the trial began in federal district court, where the jury heard weeks of emotional and often graphic testimony. 3 brothers, including 2 who were among the country's most prominent real estate brokers connected to some of the most rich, powerful people in America, were convicted in Manhattan on Monday of engaging in a years-long conspiracy to traffic women and girls for sex. Sounds like an Epstein Light deal. The brothers, Tal and Orrin Alexander, who regularly closed multi-million-dollar real estate deals in New York and elsewhere, and Elon Alexander, a security executive, were found guilty on every count that they faced and could all now receive up to life in prison, where the judge will sentence them on August 6th. Would anybody be surprised if Trump pardoned them and sent them to Israel? Don't be surprised. How the Alexander brothers' empire of pure evil came crashing down. 20 years of incestuous gang rapes, limitless greed, and the hideous open secret now haunting the New York elite. The Daily Mail has this one behind a paywall, huh? Let me just see one thing real quick. Ah, yes. Yes. Israeli-American brothers guilty of luxury real estate sex trafficking scheme in the United States. You heard that right. They are Israeli Americans. Now, let's just be honest here. If they were Muslims, if the Alexander brothers were Muslims, this would be the lead story today. If the Alexander brothers were Muslims that were doing this, this would be the lead story, and they'd all make sure that you knew they were Muslims, and they'd all make sure that they could use this to make you hate Muslims and start a war to kill more Muslims. We all know that's true. 3 Israeli-American brothers have been found guilty of sex trafficking following a trial that showed they used their high-profile connections in the luxury real estate world to assault women for years. Orrin and Tal Alexander were the founders of the real estate firm Official, which had offices in Miami and New York, just like Epstein. Elon Alexander, Orrin's twin, worked at the family's private security firm. The brothers used deception, fraud, and coercion, including the promise of luxury travel accommodation, to engage in sex trafficking as well as drugging, sexually assaulting, and raping dozens of women, prosecutors said as they were charged. Sounds a lot like Epstein. Sounds a lot like Diddy. But thank goodness they're not Muslims. And so nobody needs to know about this. Nobody needs to hear about this. And maybe if we keep quiet about it enough, we can just go ahead and pardon them and send them to Israel so that they can live out the rest of their lives happy. Canada police investigate after shots fired at U.S. consulate in Toronto. So just more violence, more tension. Another country leaves California. Yamaha pulling out of California after nearly half a century. Headquarters headed to Georgia. Yeah, nobody wants to live in these blue states. Too expensive and only getting worse. So then they move to red states and turn them blue, and then they wonder why everything sucks so much. This ended up happening right before I went live. Trump urges Australia to grant asylum to Iranian women's soccer team after national anthem protest. And Australia has now done that. What did I tell you about these Iranian women? Now, again, all countries have different political sides. They have a left and a right everywhere. You just don't hear about it in the American media. I told you that all these women that are protesting the regime, these are leftists. These are liberal women. That's what they are. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't make them right or wrong. That's just the fact. Like all these women that you see, and it's all propaganda, all these so-called Iranian women that you see, who knows if they even are or not, all these Iranian women that, you know, get half naked and dance around with their assets hanging out to tell you how great Iran, the war in Iran is, that's all propaganda. These are leftist women. These are liberal women. The Iranian women protested their national anthem. So again, it doesn't make them right or wrong. Every country has a left and a right, an opposition, a support, whatever, depending on who's in power. These are literally liberal women. These are feminist, leftist women that protest their own national anthem. These are Megan Rapinoe's. So it's funny, isn't it? It's funny that here we are, after raging against liberals and liberalism and feminists and the combination of them, now we support them in Iran. Now they're the greatest thing for Iran. I do find that ironic, actually. Yes, I do. Oh, I don't want to do that. We had a TPUSA story. I'm just going to skip through that. Oh, James, this is hilarious. James Fishback is the new Trump, just a couple $2 billion poorer. By the way, this Max Nordau guy, he's got to be one of the most pathetic people on the app. But he always follows everything I do. He's probably tuned in right now. Ooh, muscular Jew. Yeah, I'm sure he's real muscular. Leaks from the Fishback campaign. Worries he's going to have his couch and Tesla seized. He's hiding a Rolex. All this stuff. You're like, wait, what is going on? And by the way, the veterans that he apparently stiffed, I know them. And if that would have happened, they would have told me. So I'm not sure I believe any of these claims. I'm not sure I believe any of these claims, but okay, maybe they're real. So where would they be coming from? So then we have the supposed legal document here. A court has ruled against James Fishback, affirming that his former employee has the right to garnish his assets. Excuse me. He's due in court on April 1st. Is this like are you getting played? Is this an April Fool's Day joke? He says Fishback is in trouble. So you go to these documents. It says he owes, this looks like small claims court. I don't know how this gets out of small claims court, quite frankly, but I guess they brought it to the higher courts here. Seems like small claims court stuff. He owes $400.87. He owes $61.71. And he's worried about having his Tesla. And another $100. So he owes like less than $1,000. I don't know how this isn't in small claims court. And he's worried about having his Tesla seized. Something doesn't add up here. Something isn't right. Looks like total BS. Looks like another hit on the Fishback campaign. James Fishback is the new Trump. I told you that would be a fun one to watch. All right, guys, do you do any of these contact lens services? They're very popular. One woman looked at her contract with one of the companies and look what she found.
I thought it was really weird. I was making an appointment to Lynn's Crafters, and I was going through all the paperwork they sent me, and they, have privacy policies, notice of privacy practices. And I was reading through all this, and it had special situations. One of the ones I noticed, though, where it talked about protective services for the president and others. We may disclose health information to authorized federal officials, so they may provide protection to the president, their authorized persons, or foreign heads of state, or to conduct special investigations. I thought it was really weird. I was making a
Foreign heads of state, you say? You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like they're taking the scan that they do of your eye, your retina, whatever it is. I don't know. I've never had to wear glasses or contacts. Thank you, God. So I don't really know what that process is like, but it sounds like they're saying we're selling your eye information to the government, or we're giving it to the government so that when the AI systems and the AI surveillance takes place, all they need is your eyeball and they got you, and they can track and trace you. As long as there's any camera around that can see your eye, they got you. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Hey, a new statue in the Washington National Mall, folks. And it is a play on the Titanic, and it's got Jeffrey Epstein and Trump there on the front of the Titanic. Trump and Epstein having a good old time. It's all ridiculous. Oh, man. Clown world, we are so back. Clown country, guys. There you go. There you go, and there you have it. All right. There's your content for the day. Let's go into the super chats. At the end of every show, we read all of our super chats from YouTube. Thank you guys for getting us over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Appreciate that. Please give us a follow on YouTube if you haven't yet. The Owen Report on YouTube. All right. We start with Captain Hard. Pete Hegseth has to be the most incompetent official we've ever had leading the Department of War. This man has no strategy or plan. He sounds like a football coach trying to hype up Americans. Shameful. Yeah, that's a good analogy there. But he's really good at spending money. Nobody can deny that. He's great at spending money. You know, I have to say, I kind of questioned it when he did, what was it? He did like 3 reps of 315 or something on the bench. I'm starting to think that that was fake. I didn't want to say anything in the beginning because it's like, yeah, whatever. Now it's like, was the whole thing fake? Do you know how hard it is just to get to 300? You have to be a serious bodybuilder to rep 300 pounds. When is Hegseth in the gym? What is Hegseth's weight training routine? What is his diet regimen? You need all of these things. Unless you're just one of those freaks that's naturally gifted and can just bench anything, I don't think Hegseth is that. Would they really fake a 315 bench for Hegseth to make him look cool? I'm starting to doubt that he ever benched 315. I'm starting to think there's no way he repped 315. That is not easy. 300 pounds, that's like you're a serious bodybuilder. Like you are a serious weight trainer or bodybuilder. Like 300 is like, you're like in the upper echelon now. You're serious stuff. You get to 300. How does Hegseth do it? RTBT. Hey, Owen, what product do you use in your hair? It's nice. Ah, thank you. Well, I don't have any product in it during the show. I'm debating whether or not to start using some stuff because it's getting so loud. It's getting so loud and so long. But it does kind of fall back naturally. But sometimes it's in my eyes. Sometimes it gets a little raggedy. So I've been thinking about using product. But no, I just normal stuff. I don't wear any product. There is nothing in my hair right now. And why would I can't give people free plugs like that. If somebody wants to sponsor my hair, then there you go. Then I'll tell you all about it. Underestimated Iran, and more importantly, their military is decentralized. Each part has their own command, so even if you do take out one part, it doesn't affect anything. This is Israel's problem, not ours. I agree with the second part. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out about your first comment there. Allies that actually benefit America were taking equipment from their own country that's supposed to protect them to help Israel, who does nothing for us. I think you're talking about Saudi Arabia. Billy Cardano. Like this stream if you're not a warmongering Fed. Amen. We're fighting a real military versus Iran. IDF fighting civilians in Lebanon. Fun fact, not one single troop in the IDF fought in the first Middle East war. Yeah, that's true. The IDF is good at spying and blowing things up, but they don't really go boots on the ground versus real people in wars. They just target civilians and use their intelligence to just strike from the air mostly. And then once the military demolition is done, they move in and, celebrate by shooting guns off and taking pictures with different clothes and items. They're the moral military of the world, as you know. DZ, reality show Trump, the leader of Iran, MTG, U.S. Prez. MTG is not being silent right now. And they're running. Guys, the situation is so strange. So Georgia's going to be interesting. It's at 11 people that are running for that special election. The one AIPAC-backed candidate was endorsed by Trump. Then you have the situation in Kentucky. The AIPAC-backed candidate endorsed by Trump. Trump is going to do a rally for that guy to get Massey out of office. The individual was a never-Trumper and hated Trump on record all the way up to 2019. And that's who Trump has endorsed now. And that's who Trump is campaigning for to take Massey's seat, was a never-Trumper all the way up to 2019. That story may get a little louder tonight, but I don't know. It's a local House race. We'll see. Megan Mayfield, I'm a leftist and on your side. Left-right paradigm is dead. We must stick together. I'm not sending my son to die for Israel. Time for constitutional convention. Thank you, Megan. Now is definitely not the time for the left-right shtick. And that's why I don't really do it much. And we can have policy debates, but no, first thing has to be first. We cannot let our country get into another war for foreign and special interests. And now I think the majority on the right and the majority on the left agree. Maybe not the majority on the right yet, but it's getting close. That should be the number one priority. Stopping foreign and special interests from running our foreign policy. And then we can get back to, debating on domestic issues, domestic policies, left-right stuff. But that has to be the number one thing right now. It has to be. And it's the number one thing our Congress and our politicians and our media sell us out to every single day. No matter your left, right, center, up, down, doesn't matter. Brian Swope. Clown world for sure. Thanks, Owen. You are appreciated. We're so back. We're so back in the clown world. It's a different taste now with Trump in office, but we're back. It's the Trump clown world. Drake Bliss. President Carter said back in the 70s we had reached peak oil and there would be no more within 20 years. Yeah, another lie. They all lie to us. Global warming, global cooling, peak oil, acid rain. Just lie, lie, lie. You'd think we'd get sick of it. Female service member died, so you can stop calling us bimbos yet. Plus, Hegseth, Gates, and Trump all use more makeup and gender-affirming care. Well, I don't know if anybody uses more makeup than Kristi Noem. I wasn't calling you a bimbo. I did rage against the bimbos, though. That is true. But I guess at this point, you could probably call Hegseth a himbo. Yeah, Hegseth, they all wear makeup. I don't get it. Trump wears the makeup. I don't get the male makeup. I mean, you're on camera. It'd be one thing if they were actually like Hollywood actors shooting a movie or something. It's like, okay. But you're politicians. You don't have to do the makeup. Nobody's making you do the makeup. It just shows how superficial they are. I don't think I can stop with the bimbos, though. I'm sorry, Megan. You never know when it might come out of the holster. Bimbo stays. Red pill science. Trump is a liar, a vessel burning in the strait now. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. That's why I don't go too much as far as on the ground stuff, because I don't know what's real and what's not. There's so much fake stuff. There's so much AI stuff. There's so much old stuff that it's hard to know what's actually going on. Jose Navarro, recommend recent Daniel Davis interview called Escalation Favors Iran. In short, U.S. now in a nuclear bomb trap where materials once safe are now lost. Maybe you're talking about Ferdo. Shabby Cat, thank you. Woofy, the real estate firm that Erica Kirk worked for New York City was owned by Leon Black, the Cochrane Group. What a tangled web we weave. Yeah. I can't. Yeah. The background there is strange, to say the least. DT Gypsy, what do you think about the nick in the ear thing according to the Talmud? Was it a Jewish promise loyalty thing? I'm not aware of a nick in the ear. I wonder how many people now think that's fake, though, after Trump has sold us out so bad. How many people do you think are willing to think that that might be fake now? If Trump switched out what he says about Iran with Israel, he'd be the greatest president in history. It does vault. There's some truth. There's some truth there. C.S. Huntington Beach. Why did Trump post that Jeffrey Sachs interview? Tucker Carlson did an interview with Jeffrey Sachs recently. I don't know. I don't think he even knew what he posted. If Trump knew that he bashed Netanyahu in that clip, then would he really have posted it? So did he post it? Did he even watch it? Did he even know what he posted? Or is he Q signaling again? Maha, thank you. Molly K. Pearson. Trump is everything the libs said he was and worse. Yikes. On the campaign trail, his best line to question about the two ongoing wars was, I want to see an end to all the dying. I miss that guy. Yeah, and now more are dying all over the world. Peace, President. Faux News reducing itself to promoting Jake Lang false flag behind you. It's probably gone now. That situation's crazy. Trump tried to throw Kushner under the bus. Is that what you think it was? He threw Kushner and Witkov under the bus? Or did he expose them unintentionally? Pittsburgh Bad. Barron was supposed to be the one who told Trump to go on the Good podcast because he watches them. Why isn't Barron telling his dad he's a fool now? Well, it's different when you're the campaign and when you're the president. Owen Schroyer's wifey. Do you ever take a day off, babe? Nope, can't afford to. Owen Jones Schroyer. I'm building a wall in my backyard. I expect you to kiss it, Owen. Was it promised to you 3,000 years ago? Is it an actual ancient Roman wall and has nothing to do with anything else? Show us your tattoos. Do you think I have tattoos? The main problem is Trump loves himself more than the United States. Yeah, the ego and narcissism is definitely taking over. It's kind of hard to avoid. It's kind of impossible to ignore at this point. I am Mercurio. July, we are taking our country back by force. Trump says he wants to build a 100,000-seat stadium at the White House for the UFC 250 event, by the way. Fuck you, Lindsey Graham, from the American people. Let's hope that he gets that from the people of South Carolina in the primary. That would be nice. It'd be nice to get Mark Lynch in there. Even Hannity felt uncomfortable with Lady Lindsay. Yeah, even Hannity was like, geez, cool it, man. Holy smokes. Is Netanyahu inside of you right now? Player Hater 1. I'm sure there has to be election fraud in South Carolina if Graham gets in. Who would willingly vote for that soulless guy? Yeah, even Nancy Mace is calling him out. It's stunning. If Lindsey Graham wins South Carolina, will anybody believe that? I'm Ferbs. We all know Lindsey is not an anti-Semite. I wasn't sure, actually. I was still wondering. Why do people keep voting for Graham, Rubio, Cruz, etc., and expect different results? That is the definition of insanity. Are the voters to blame here? To a degree, if our votes are legitimate, if our elections aren't totally fake. The Graham is going to be that's going to be the measuring stick to see how bad it is. If Graham wins another election, it's just like, maybe it's time to stop. Maybe it's time to cancel elections and stop voting and just give it to AI. Or what is that comedian's name? I want to say Avi Horowitz, but I could be wrong. But he's actually, I'm kind of onto it. I'm like, just draw it. Whatever district you're in, just draw names out of a hat like jury duty. All right, you got to go serve in Congress. That way we don't know anybody that's getting in, and they can't be compromised. They can't be bought and paid for and blackmailed before they get selected for congressional duty. Sounds stupid, but it might actually work. Lindsey definitely agreed with the 2020 results, and him winning shows Dem boys run our election because only thing he's agree with is anything Israel. Yeah, Lindsey Graham wasn't fighting to stop the stolen election. Alex had to go on Jimmy Dore like Owen. You know what? I could say something about that. I'm not going to. I'm sure it's not a trend. I'm sure that hadn't been happening for a while. Exposed 305. Wish you can Rumble Super Chat. YouTube can be difficult to say what you want, even respectfully. Well, I've explained it again, but briefly, the system I use just doesn't take Rumble Super Chats or Rumble Rants, as it's called. It just doesn't do it. I add a whole layer here. I'm already like at my max. I run the show by myself, so we just do the YouTube Super Chats. We try to bring everybody from Rumble over there. So that's just how it is. Thumb up, people. Trump was referring to Tay-Tay in Florida. Oh, a shout out for Tay-Tay. He's sick. He said he's sick. Michael, you know what they say, big hats, small problems. Should I start wearing a top hat? Judkey Bo Parker, maybe Jesus be with you. Don't ever sell out. God bless. May Jesus be with you. Thank you. Thank you, Judd. Judd Tebow. Is Ben Gvir dead? No. I'm pretty sure those were fake news. Jennifer K. The Schofield Bible fuels Christian Zionism, though it contradicts Scripture. Zionists funded its spread to advance political aims. Wake up. Yeah, our history books are a lie, too. Wait till we have that conversation. Oh, yeah, that's right. Robert Maxwell, the Israeli spy, bought them and propagandized our history books. We need separation of synagogue and state. Yeah, need separation from the Middle East. We need a tax revolt. This is ridiculous. Oh, preach. Wouldn't even matter. They'd still do all this stuff. They'd still print money every day. But a tax revolt, kind of how this country started. Maybe it's how we save it. Gigi loves Owen. Changed my name because you keep trashing my last Amour. Because I keep butchering your last name, Gigi. I'm sorry. It's unintentional. Can only do so much. I'm only human, supposedly. Any update on our floating restaurant? Yes, you too, wifey. Calm down. Ready to invest. What are laws for floating restaurants on Lake Travis? I have no updates. I have no movement. It's still just an idea. It's still just a concept. Doge was to get elected. Only Elon was serious. Yeah, it looks like a lot of the stuff he said was to get elected, and none of it was serious. You looked very snazzy on the Piers Morgan show yesterday. Thank you. Thank you. Had a good time on Piers Morgan yesterday. Someone in the X chat said you stole $30K from your followers for a studio you never built. Well, what studio am I in? So that's just an outright lie. And anybody that knows about building a studio, it's not cheap. I don't even have to explain myself, but I'll respond to this here. I have 3 cameras. I have 2 computers. I have studio lights. I mean, you can see all the equipment, soundboard, microphone. So that's just some hater. That's all it is. That's just some hater. So no, this is the studio. You guys built this studio. I thank the audience for building this studio. And I mean, people complain that it's not high tech enough. Well, yeah, I don't have $100,000. So when I do, you'll see a bigger studio. But no, I was very grateful for that. And I feel blessed that I have an audience that wanted to see me go independent and help me build the studio. So I'm very grateful for that. Gigi is also invited to the Floating Cafe, but not that chick who thinks I am DMT. I don't know anything about that. Ken Rose, thank you. The Coochie Monster. Forgot to wear a shirt today, I see. Haha. Well, if I forgot to wear the shirt today, the chat would be blowing up in a different way. Israel used America to rattle the hornet's nest. Islam, Grand Seco Mafia. Well, they did it. They used us for more than that, but that's one of them. Kobe Bryant's helicopter. Hi, Owen. Hi, helicopter. As dead as Jeffrey Epstein. Matt 7043. I guess we'll never know what is really going on. A nice play on words there. Very well done. Very good. Israelis in Hollywood convinced the mainstream. Bacala. Missed when you talked about Jake, but the Islam Zionism paradigm is sickening. Protest footage from this weekend. Another fake Charlottesville. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I'm not getting involved. Confucius say Israel is ally or enemy is not good. It's very simple. Just get us out of the Middle East. It's really just that simple. Praying for Owen Alex reunion. Lord, we ask you. Trump and Graham are tug and rubbing. America first. Honestly, guys, what do they have Lindsey Graham on video doing? Honestly. It's got to be something so nasty. Like, I don't even necessarily think it's like maybe even evil. It's just something so nasty. It makes me think of the first episode of Black Mirror where the guy is forced to fornicate with the pig. It's like it's something like that. What can they possibly have on Graham that makes him act the way he does? Ari Shafir. Is that the comedian's name? He's hilarious. Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah, Ami Horowitz is a different guy who does street interviews. Ari Shafir is the comedian that does the funny videos. Yeah, that's it. That's right. Grand Seco Mafia. I'm getting a better deal on $2 due to conversations. And you're still beginning. I think this is the first time I've seen you in the chat. So you're still, you can improve. There's only upward mobility for you. Jeffrey Knox. Hey, Owen from Canada. I love watching your show. You're the GOAT. God bless you. Thank you, Jeffrey. That's what we strive for. Really appreciate that. Means a lot. Elusive Nut. Owen the Destroyer. I just named my dog Israel. Everyone can bless him with money. Oh, smart move. And he can carry, and he can get into the bunkers, and he gets all the, yes, very smart. Just name your dog Israel, and he'll be blessed for eternity. It was promised him 3,000 years ago. Smart move. The camo is sick, big dog. Get a Grand Seco next. Do I want a Grand Seco? Pretty expensive there. You know, you can get a... Damn, they even have one that they try to make look like a Rolex. There's this watch. I forget what it's called, but they make it look exactly like a Seiko. And it's like $50. So I could probably get one of the fake ones and just deceive people. because I don't have the thousands of dollars for one. You're in the mafia, though. You got to send one my way. One of 1K. Which is worse, my donation commentary or Lindsey Graham's character? Nothing is worse than anything, Lindsey Graham. Gut. How are you going to send to Zionists to negotiate with Iran? Admin is smoking that God pack. Well, I think Trump is putting his faith in the wrong people, and they're all stabbing him in the back and sabotaging him. So whatever, he doesn't want to listen to us that have been fighting for him the hardest since he came down the elevator. He doesn't want to listen to the people who went to jail for him, so he can listen to all the corrupt people and expect to get good results. Thanks for all you do, Mia Moore, from Wifey and I. Oh, it's getting hot in here. It's getting a little... What's going on there? Israel is no good. When do you see us cutting ties? 1 or 2 election cycles. Probably 2 or 3, really. I'd say 2 or 3 election cycles. It's going to be a political mandate, even. Oh, and it's time. Reunite with Alex. He is sorry. You sure about that? I haven't heard that. The Emperor Palpatine. The world needs to realize we are already in the age of fake video, images, voices, all of it. Truth is manipulated right now. Government can fake phone calls. We need to look at each other and realize this. Well, that's true. That's true, and it's only going to get worse. Yeah. Any update on America only hats, not the ugly one? Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. Are you saying that this is ugly? Let me pull this up. Are you saying that this hat is ugly? This is the America only hat at the owenschroyer.store website. Now, it's a little deceiving. As you can see, I have my Still Alive hat here. It's a little deceiving because it looks like the logo is right on the brim. It's not. It's actually centered, as you can see from the actual real-life example of the hat. But that's the only America only hat that we have. Let me see. Now, we do have multiple colors. Let's see. Yeah, it's just the, you've got the camo, you've got the royal blue, and the red. Those are the only America, that's the only America only hat we have. If we update the site with a new one, I will let you know. I didn't know. Did I say I was going to do a new one? AJ begged Trump to pull his unit out of the hornet's nest. I was begging last year. Not another skate channel. Fauci lied. People died. Yeah, Fauci. There's another criminal we haven't addressed. There's one we shouldn't have forgotten about. But Trump was complicit, so that's how they got him in there. If Fauci goes down, Trump probably goes down. Yes, no red, not MAGA. Yeah, we got the blue and the camo. So if that's what you were looking for, there it is. With some of the stuff at owenschroyer.store, you got to go into it and you'll see there's actually multiple color options. Here declares victory or forever war. Maybe that is the victory. Maybe the forever war is the victory, and that's the big scam. That's how they scam us. And that's it for today's show. 3 hours in the books. Appreciate everybody being around for today's show. Appreciate you sharing the links, subscribing to us on YouTube, on Rumble, following me on X. Appreciate all the super chats. We even got a plug for owenschroyer.store if you want to buy some apparel from us. Appreciate that. That does it. 21-hour break, same time, same channel tomorrow. God bless, Godspeed.